You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds. You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Palatial yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Wednesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 375, the free Odyssey app, the iHeartRadio app, and also streaming live on YouTube. 888-710-4ISN is the number to jump on in. That's 888-710-4476. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter and X at Zach Gelb. Also on TikTok at The Zach Gelb Show. Patty Boyle going to join us coming up 40 minutes from now. Jerry Hairston Jr. will join us at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And Shawne Merriman will stop by at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific time today. I will start the show in just a second with Nick Saban and Dan Lanning and their future in college football. But first, I was just doing my weekly hit on 560 WQAM. I think they actually now have an FM signal, so I think it's now 104.3 WQAM in Miami. But they asked me at the end of the show, what do I leave out for Halloween for the trick-or-treaters? Or what kind of candy bars do I give out? Now, I live in an apartment complex. My apartment complex is about 17 floors. There are mainly people that are in their mid to early, mid-20s, early 30s. Now, there are some older couples. There are some couples that have children. But there's probably like only 6 to 8 families in the building that have children. So there's a sign-up sheet where you make your name eligible or you make your apartment number eligible, and you just check it off, and then you get candy bars. Now, I will not be in my apartment Friday during the trick-or-treating hours. They do trick-or-treating hours, I think, are from 5:30 to 8 p.m. So I will not be in my apartment, as I'm going to be here, and then I have a Halloween party to attend right after the show on Friday night. So I didn't check the box off this year. And let me tell you, Mark Hochman had such an issue with that. And I love Hawk. And I get it. He just doesn't get it because he's, right, an older guy, probably lives in a building where there's a lot more children. That's not where I'm living at right now. So, Stu, I have to ask you, because you have a condo? What is your classification of living in the swamps of Jersey?
It is an apartment.
Complex, right?
It's a complex, so there's like 100+ units.
A lot of children or no?
Good amount of children, yeah.
Will you be trick-or-treating friendly? Will you be a building or a apartment that will be friendly to the trick-or-treaters?
We bought candy. I think the plan is to leave it outside of the door.
Oh, do a little the bowl action.
Yeah.
And usually in Stu's apartment, they say bowl action, a little bit different. But
not allowed,
in this case, you were doing the Halloween bowl where it's like, hey, please take one. And then you have like some pain-in-the-ass 11-year-old that sees that bowl, and the guy's like walking around with like a pillowcase, and he dumps the entire bowl into the pillowcase. My sister did that last year. She lives in a house, and she left the bowl out, and someone took the bowl.
Great.
So you got to be careful with the bowl selection. Don't be giving out your fine china, obviously, sitting there. Just give some crappy bowl, and away you go. But, yeah, I got berated on a radio show that I am making an appearance, right? No extra money, just out of the kindness of my heart, just being a good company guy each and every week with my guys Mark Hochman and Channing Crowder and Alejandro Solana, and they weren't too happy with the fact that I wasn't giving out candy. And it's not because I hate children. It's not because I am not Halloween friendly. It's just my building, it's not really conducive to Halloween, it seems like. So now I'm wondering if I'm going to get guilted to go into the store tonight and just putting a bunch of candy bars out there in a bowl and then just saying, hey, please take one, and then I'll get back hoping that there will be a few candy bars in there so I could put them in my freezer for myself, and then probably knowing that there won't be any candy there. That would probably be my assumption. That would probably be my guess. So if it goes anyway where the laundry usually goes in that building, that's the one. I have a great building. Like, I love my building. The one thing I hate the most, though, about this building is the communal laundry system that they use. That's the absolute worst. Like, when I was living in Philly, the laundry was in the apartment, in your own unit. But having just one place to do your laundry, that's the worst because, like, you go down there, and I'm pretty timely with that stuff, even though I did my laundry during Game 3 of the World Series, and I may or may not have fell asleep on my couch when the laundry was in the dryer. And then after watching, it was late anyway, so no one's doing their really laundry at that point. But after watching 18 innings, I was about to jump into bed, and I said to myself, uh-oh, I got to go get the laundry. And I hate leaving the laundry in the basket overnight, so that I'm sitting there folding the laundry, and I didn't get to bed till, 4 in the morning that night. So you guys are Halloween friendly. And just making you guys Halloween friendly this year.
Yes, we are.
What are you dressing up as?
Well, I will not be here because of jury duty, so I will
that's right.
dressed up as a juror, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, but not like, are you guys going somewhere this weekend when you got to dress up?
I don't think so.
Connor, you got to dress up for anything?
Do not have a costume yet. No.
Oh, okay. Well, you
Not yet.
Fun. You're in the Here I am saying you're not really in the Halloween spirit, as I'm not giving out candy bars.
Do you have a costume for Friday?
I do.
Ooh.
I am going as the Big Bad Wolf to this Halloween costume, and me lady is going as Little Red Riding Hood. It's one of those things where we went on a train to Philly to go to this wedding, and she was like, "Oh, come with 5 ideas for the for Halloween," and she'll have 5 ideas. That was one that I was like, "Hey, whatever you want to do for Halloween, as long as like I'm not in tights or something like that and looking like a fool, I'm good. That way I can go watch football on Saturday and Sunday if I'm just being honest. Yeah, pick and choose with stuff like that." But anyway, those are all the happenings on the Halloween front. I think what is my niece going as? I think my niece is going as Tinkerbell, I believe. Tinkerbell? I think so. If I'm wrong on that, I'm sure I'll get a text in like 5 seconds. You're spreading fake news on the radio show. Wouldn't be the first time. Oh, kidding aside. All righty. Let's get to Nick Saban, and then we'll get to Dan Lanning. Because there are LSU fans that all fan bases have unrealistic fans, but LSU is one of those marquee jobs. So, like, when a Florida fan sits there and says, "Hey, Florida should go call Nick Saban," okay, you could call, but I don't think Nick Saban is walking out of his job right now to go coach at Florida. You know, Penn State fans, "Oh, we want Nick Saban." It's the same thing. I don't think he's going to coach Penn State. Like, both very good jobs, but they're not LSU. So there are names that get thrown out there. You know, Dan Lanning was another that gets thrown out there for Florida and Penn State. I don't think those are viable options. Now, with that being said, LSU opens up, and you say, wait a second now, where I don't think Nick Saban, to be clear, is leaving his current gig to go back to college coaching, because the reason why he retired, here's the breaking news, he didn't want to deal with the transfer portal nonsense and the NIL nonsense, right? He didn't want to deal with that. He's one of those my way or the highway type of guys. I'm rooted in my ways, and now it's more of a level playing field. Now I got to adapt anymore. When you're the king, you don't like to adapt, and it's either join or die, and he didn't die, obviously, but he said, I'm going to go to ESPN, and I'm just going to sit there, enjoy life, sit next to Pat McAfee, laugh at his jokes, eat all the food, and get paraded around from city to city each and every college football Saturday on the ESPN for College Game Day. So, with that being said, since Nick Saban has a history with LSU, since he won a national championship with LSU, once again, just like I'll say for Florida and just like I'll say for Penn State, it doesn't hurt to call, it doesn't hurt to ask, but be prepared to get rejected. And I look at a guy like Nick Saban, I don't think he's coming back to coach college. Now, I did see that Nick Saban talked to Chris Lowe, and the idea came up of Lane Kiffin maybe leaving Ole Miss to go to LSU or Ole Miss to go to Florida. And I've been one of the opinion that Lane Kiffin's not going to leave Ole Miss to go to Florida, but I definitely expect Lane Kiffin to seriously consider, and maybe not only consider, go to LSU and leave Ole Miss and go down to Louisiana State University. This is what Nick Saban had to say about that. Jobs that weren't great jobs before are now. Lane is the first name up for Florida and the first name up for LSU, but I think you could have a long debate on whether either one of those jobs is actually better than the job he now has, because he has some guys over there at Ole Miss that give him pretty much whatever he wants from a roster standpoint. He also went on to say, maybe you've got alumni who are passionate about football, but are they willing to invest what you have to invest now to win? Because a lot of people don't believe in this bleep. So that's what Nick Saban said. So I hear that, and you know what my immediate thought is? Nick Saban doesn't think very highly of LSU right now. If you're going to say, hey, Ole Miss is a better job than Florida and LSU. But also then, the propaganda machine, right? The people that are going to try to sell you that Nick Saban is a realistic candidate and someone that LSU could go get, they're going to say, oh, well, he's talking poorly about this, because not that they would pick Lane over Nick Saban, but he doesn't want to mislead Lane, who used to be an assistant of his, if he then swoops in and takes the LSU job. Like, that's the crazies on the internet. But I thought I released a very fair video the other day. And I released a video where I basically said target number one for LSU should be Lane Kiffin. And how many LSU fans, and I like Tiger fans, but they're sitting there and they say, no, target number one is Nick Saban. Is he realistic? Is Nick Saban realistic for LSU? It's one that makes you say, okay, you got to make the phone call. But if you sit here today and you said to me, Zach, what do you think the likelihood is of Nick Saban being on the LSU sideline next year? Give me a number out of 100%. What do you think it is? 0.02%? Like, I don't think Nick Saban's coaching at LSU. Stu, what would be your number?
My first number reaction would be something like 3%, maybe. A little higher than yours, but not happening.
Connor, what would your number be?
I was going to say like 5%.
Okay. All right, maybe I'll up the ante. I'll go 1.8% that Nick Saban's going to be the next coach at LSU. And the reason why I say that isn't that it's me saying LSU's LSU's the best job in the market. It's one of the best jobs in the country. But if you pay attention and you actually look at this from a neutral perspective, and I understand this is the same Nick Saban that once was the Dolphins coach, said he's not going to be the next head coach at Alabama, and then he was. But Miss Terry basically laughed at the notion of him going to Penn State like just 2 weeks ago. So don't get me wrong, LSU's a better job. It's in the South, it's in the SEC. But if she laughed at the notion of him going to Penn State, is she really going to seriously consider it for LSU? I would think not. So that's where I'm at right now. Let's hear from Paul Feinbaum, because he is Mr. SEC. And isn't Paul going into politics, or is he still working on ESPN? I thought he was going to politics. This was on the Rich Eisen show. Oh, right here on the Infinity Sports Network, which is basically also ESPN Radio from 12 to 3. Paul Feinbaum, would Nick Saban listen to LSU?
Nick Saban was the coach at LSU. He won the national championship there in 2003. And Saban left in 2005 to go to the Dolphins. Wayne Huizenga offered him this deal. And in many ways, he always regretted it. While Alabama was where he made his mark, there was this gravitational pull about Baton Rouge. His family loved it. And it probably is the only place that could get a conversation with Nick Saban. So what would it take to get Nick Saban to leave the game day set, sitting next to McAfee every Saturday, to go to LSU? It would take more than he made at Alabama, which was about $10 or $11 million. But if they came up with a package, Rich, I think you could literally fill in the number. Do I think Saban would think about it for a minute? Yes, I do. I think Nick Saban, for an unbelievable amount of money, where he said, I just can't turn that down, could possibly at least engage in a conversation.
Can I just ask a question? Is Nick Saban, I understand this could be tough for a lot of us to believe, because money is money, and if you throw a crazy number at someone at that age, maybe they just say yes. In the year of 2025, basically almost in the year of 2026, is Nick Saban really making decisions based off of money? Like, obviously, if he's going to be the next coach of LSU, he's going to get a bag thrown at him. But is that really what he's making the decision off of? No. The decision that Nick Saban is making this off of is, will he want to jump back into a college football world where it's marinated in transfer portal and NIL, where you have a freshman who, if he doesn't play after 1 year in your program, he's in your office, coach, how much more money can I get? Or if you don't play me next year, I'm going to go transfer somewhere else. Nick Saban's used to doing things his way and doing it, may I add, at an extremely successful rate, and he's the greatest college football coach ever. You think he wants to jump back into a world where he left the creme de la creme job in Alabama when he was king on top of the mountain and everyone was basically doing whatever he wanted for him? He left that because of name, image, and likeness and the transfer portal. So just because LSU's going to sit there and maybe offer him a ridiculous bag, that's going to get Nick Saban to say, yeah, yippee-yi-yo-ki-yay, I'm going back to college football where I left, where it's still the wild, wild west with name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal. That's what I think people are missing. You have people say, oh, throw him a bag. Yeah, sure, throw him a bag. But unless if you're coming up with a system to fix NIL and the transfer portal overnight, I don't see Nick Saban jumping back into the deep end of the college football world. And I don't see him being the next head football coach at LSU. Now, here's another name that gets thrown out there, Dan Lanning. And I'll be the first one to say it. I threw it out there a week and a half ago. Now, Dan has been on this show a lot. I know how much Dan loves Oregon. Dan Lanning also has roots in the SEC. And I've said it before, the only way Dan Lanning leaves Oregon is, I think, for an SEC job or the NFL. Now, he's told me on the record on this show that he used to have an interest to coach in the NFL. That's no longer a desire of his. And if you are LSU, you absolutely have to ask Dan Lanning if he's interested in becoming your next head football coach. But once again, just because you ask doesn't mean you're going to get the answer that you want. Like, Connor could be out at a bar on a Friday night, right? And he could see this smoking hot chick that walks in. And his buddies could be saying, hey, Connor, go talk to that girl. Go talk to that girl. She's good looking. I think she's looking over at you. She wants you to go buy her a drink. And Connor could walk over with the great confidence that he has, and he could say to the fine lady, hey, can I buy you a drink? And that lady could say, yeah, you could buy me a drink. Then she could sip on the drink. And then she'd go, nice meeting you. Take a lap. Like, that's what could happen. Like, Dan Lanning could take the phone call. Dan Lanning could take the first drink. But it doesn't mean Dan Lanning is going home to sleep with LSU. He'll probably go back to Oregon. But you at least have to see if that is there. And I don't know how the reporting actually went, because you hear so many different stories, right? People will tell you that Alabama was only interested in Kalen DeBoer and Mike Norvell when Alabama was open after Nick Saban left. People will say that Dan Lanning rejected Alabama. But if he did reject Alabama, which I don't know if that's true or not, why would then he accept LSU? I think he has something going really well. So sure, you could throw out there Nick Saban. You could throw out there Dan Lanning. Saban, I can't see at all. Lanning, I'll at least consider the conversation, but I don't think it's very realistic. And that's why I keep on saying for LSU, it starts with Lane Kiffin. That's where it really starts. And as I sit here today on the 29th day in October, the year of 2025, I think the next coach of LSU is either going to be Lane Kiffin or John Sumrall. But here's the other thing. Moscona, who joined us yesterday, he said that Scott Woodward, the current AD, is probably going to get fired before they hire a new head football coach. And he's been the first person that I've heard say that. So I think that's interesting because he's very tapped in, hosting a show on ESPN Baton Rouge. So that was Matt Moscona with us yesterday. So if that's the case, who knows what the new AD wants to do? Who even knows that the new AD will even be making the hire? Who even knows that Matt Moscona is going to be right on that? But another thing Matt Moscona said is that there will be a contingent of LSU fans that will say, and I don't think this is a smart opinion because John Sumrall, could he fail? Sure. But a lot of people believe that he's going to be an SEC coach one day. That, you can't hire the coach at Tulane. And that's like another thing. Penn State fans, Florida fans, and LSU fans, you're in this position for a reason. Like, Penn State, at least get it. You've been on the verge of knocking on the door of getting to a national championship game. LSU, I know you won 3 championships since 2000 with 3 different coaches. Like, Florida fans sitting there saying, we can't hire this guy, we can't hire that. You're Florida right now. You're in a miserable spot. Right? And I think there are fan bases that get too selective. You can't hire this guy, you can't hire that guy. And a lot of those times I just ask a simple question, why? And then I listen, I react, and I usually laugh. So if you ask me today, Zach, who do you think is going to be the next head coach at LSU? I don't think it's going to be Dan Lanning. I don't think it's going to be Nick Saban. I do think it's going to be Lane Kiffin. And if it's not Lane, I'll put my eggs in the basket of one John Sumrall. Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, we'll get into this Aiden Hutchinson extension. We are back in 5 minutes. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code GELB. That's code GELB, G-E-L-B. Bet $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass, plus get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Budo Casino and Resort, Kansas. Pass per wager tax may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Must be present in state where it is lawful to wager. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets that are non-cash credits that expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass is subject to blackouts and other restrictions. And auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer valid until November 16th, 2025.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Congratulations to our guy, Aiden Hutchinson, who just signed a contract extension with the Detroit Lions. And it's really go time for the Detroit Lions. We know that. It's a 4-year extension worth $180 million. That includes $141 million guaranteed. It's good to see him return back last year after it was an incredible start to the season, then had a devastating injury. And now Aiden Hutchinson is back to form. And you look around that team and the money that they've invested in it. And the last 2 years, right, you got to an NFC championship game. Then you blew that game to the 49ers last year, the number 1 overall seed, road to the playoffs, runs through Detroit. And then, coming out of the bye, you lose to the Washington Commanders. This year, you got to go win the Super Bowl. Like, if the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl, it's either going to be this year or in the 2 years after that. You can only expect a 1 to 3 year window in this league where you can consistently be a contender. Can it go more than that? Sure. But I don't know how realistic it is after that. And like the Eagles are 6-2. They're good. But it's not like you look at Philly and you say they're unbeatable. I know Green Bay smacked your ass in week 1, but that was week 1. They're 5-1-1. They tied the Cowboys at one point. You know, they lost to the Browns at one point. It's not as if I look at a team like the Green Bay Packers and all of a sudden I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, wow, I really fear the Packers. Even though the Packers are a good team, like, don't get me wrong, but I don't know how great they are. Like, they're good. I don't know how great they are. I'm not going to get worried about Chicago. Minnesota, we'll see what J.J. McCarthy's going to look like when he returns this weekend. Tampa Bay is really damn good, but are they just their ceiling getting to a divisional round game? You know, getting to division round weekend? You know, the Seahawks are solid, but does anyone trust Sam Darnold a big spot? No. The Rams, I love Stafford. They got some good players in that defense. They got some talent. But if the Lions played the Rams in a playoff game, we've already seen that before. I mean, how that goes. And the San Francisco 49ers are the walking wounded. So this is right there. It's not a lock. It's not, oh, hey, you're definitely going to the Super Bowl. But there is obviously a more than plausible road for the Detroit Lions to get to the Super Bowl. So, Stu, do me a favor here. I know you compiled the list of a bunch of the premier pass rushers in the NFL. And I'm just curious because Aiden Hutchinson, right, signs this deal. And we've had a lot of pass rushers who recently got inked to extensions or who are already considered to be one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. There's a lot of guys that are in spots right now where they either just signed or they're not up for an extension, and they're probably not getting an extension for a few years from now. But let's just go around the room here and see, you know, what are the chances that pass rusher has to go on out there and actually be playing in meaningful games? Like, it works for Aiden Hutchinson. In Detroit, playing well, off the injury, boom, they're bona fide Super Bowl contenders. So let's go around the room here.
All right, let's start with the guy who had 5 sacks last week and a loss, and that is Myles Garrett with the Browns.
Doesn't that guy, when he puts his head on the pillow at night, and as Mookie Betts would say, he's not thinking about guys. I understand that. But when he puts his head on the pillow at night, sure, probably sleeps easily. $40 million a year, all the money in the world, right? The world is, is his oyster. But he probably sits there and goes, Myles, if I had to be honest with myself, I could have probably got just as much money, and I could have been on Philadelphia, or I could have been on Kansas City, or I could have been in Detroit, or, I could have been on the Chargers. Like, even if it's not a team like the Chargers, I don't even know if they're going to go win I don't know if they're going to be a Super Bowl contender this year, but you get the point. I could have been with the Bills. Like, he has to be thinking that. He's in Cleveland right now, where on offense they don't have much, and their defense has been phenomenal. Like, to illustrate the way that Myles Garrett is playing right now, he's playing as if he's almost an MVP of the league. He'll easily win Defensive Player of the League. If they just had a competent team, if they had a team that somehow made the postseason, he would get MVP votes. But they're going to be nowhere close to competing. So he has no chance to win anytime soon. None, because the Browns are a disaster. They got to go get a quarterback. And how many years have we been saying that? Forever.
All right, let's stick in the AFC North. The Steelers they got off to a really good start. They've kind of not been great lately. We have old Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. What about T.J. Watt with the Steelers?
I used to think it was a really healthy debate between who's the best pass rusher in the NFL. Is it Myles Garrett or is it T.J. Watt? It's now Myles Garrett. And I understand last year that T.J. Watt had a good season. That defense in big spots continuously just does not show up. Like, T.J. Watt's a hell of a player, but I thought when he eventually signed that extension, I said this at the time, that it was a mistake, and he saw what Myles Garrett was trying to do. He should have executed what Myles Garrett didn't, and that was leave a team. And I get it, the Browns in a much worse spot than the Pittsburgh Steelers, but T.J. Watt has never won a playoff game during his tenure as a Pittsburgh Steeler. If I was him, even though that defense needs to be better, and you could put some of the blame on him, I would have said, hey, Pittsburgh, I'm not signing the extension. Just send me elsewhere. Send me to a Super Bowl contender. I think the Super Bowl for the Steelers moving forward, until they actually win a playoff game, is winning a playoff game, and that's something they haven't done since the 2016 season.
All right, what about my guy, Max Crosby? I know he's kind of been floated in trade rumors a little bit. A week or two ago, he was obviously in trade rumors a lot last season before he signed a new deal with the Raiders. They have an older coach in Pete Carroll. They have Geno Smith as their quarterback right now. What about Max Crosby?
Yeah, they're screwed, the Raiders, because they're looking up. They have the Chargers, they have the Broncos, and, the Kansas City Chiefs. It's amazing to me that Max Crosby loves the Raiders as much as he does. It really is impressive. And he just signed that new deal, so he's not going anywhere. And as long as he stays with the Raiders, I think he's playing for third place in the AFC West each and every year at best. Like, that would be the Super Bowl for the Raiders if they could finish in third place. So he has no chance to win.
All right, what about someone who actually was moved this offseason? Micah Parsons went from the Cowboys to a really good spot in the Packers. Yeah, you went from a reality TV show to an organization that's kind of low-key, well-respected, highly thought of. They win a lot. They are a good team. We'll see if they could be a great team, but he's one of those teams that has a chance. He's on one of those teams, like the 8 or 9 teams in the NFL that you look at, you can say, okay, I could actually envision them winning a Super Bowl this year. If you tell me they're in the Super Bowl, it's not crazy. So that's a guy that got paid and got into a better situation, and I think it's going to benefit his career in a huge way. We spent a lot of the summer talking about what the Bengals were going to do with Trey Hendrickson. Kind of looks like it's maybe running its course. What about Trey Hendrickson with the Bengals? Yeah, that defense stinks. They just lost to the Jets. They made Justin Fields look like a Hall of Fame quarterback, and now you get the news from Ian Rappaport. Bengals quarterback Joe Flacco is dealing with an AC joint sprain in his throwing shoulder, and his status is up in the air for Sunday versus the Bears. That's what sources say. Flacco left the loss to the Jets, then came back late. Coach Zach Taylor called him day-to-day. Jake Browning is the backup. And I said this when Joe Flacco got there, he was just not going to be able to survive the season behind that garbage offensive line. I think that the Bengals should trade Trey Hendrickson, but if you do that, then you're basically admitting that you're not expecting to make the playoffs, and the whole hope that they're trying to sell you on is that at the end of the year, Joe Burrow will be able to come on back and you prevent the ship from sinking, and then he can lead you to the playoffs. I don't think the Bengals are making the playoffs this year, so I would trade him. All right, what about someone who was drafted very high in the draft a few years ago, has kind of made his imprint on the league just in a couple of years? What about Will Anderson Jr. with the Texans? Yeah, he's a stud. Don't get me wrong, but he's on a team where now I'm just trying to see what direction they're going in, where the first 2 years, playoff win. Maybe they could rally here in the second half and make the postseason. But it seems that the Texans have limitations, and that's wild card weekend, Saturday, 4:30. They could win or lose that game, and then they bow out in the divisional round. So he's a heck of a player. He's one of the better pass rushers in football, but I don't think he's a guy that is going to win a Super Bowl or even get to maybe an AFC championship game with the Houston Texans, but it won't be because of him. All right, what about Nick Bosa with the 49ers? You kind of see how great he is when he's healthy, but the problem is a lot of times he's not healthy, and you also have a Niners team that maybe they've reached their ceiling already as a Super Bowl contender. Yeah, and I know he's only 28, and he just turned 28 like a few days ago, but now a season-ending injury. With all those injuries, they pile up, and your body could slow down real quickly. I still think, obviously, he could be a really good player. The 49ers will always be in it, but at this rate, do I envision the next year to 3 years, right, his remaining prime years, the Niners winning a Super Bowl? No, I think they missed their window where they'll be competitive, but I don't think they're going to actually get a Lombardi trophy. All right, last one here, sticking in the NFC West. What about Jared Verse with the Rams in his short career so far?
Yeah, and I picked him before the season started last year to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, and obviously he did that. He has 4 sacks to start this season. He's a heck of a young player. The thing with the Rams is they have such a good young core on defense, and then offensively you got guys like Puka Nacua and Kyron Williams, but at the quarterback position you got an older quarterback, and you don't know how much longer he's going to play. The Rams are going to be in the mix with Verse, but ultimately to see if they have a Super Bowl window, which they could have one this year, and they could win a Super Bowl this year. But to see the long-term future of what he's going to look like in LA, we know he'll be a great player, or a bare minimum very good player. But until we see who the quarterback is that replaces Stafford, it's kind of tough to project what their Super Bowl window is going to be moving on into the future. All righty, we'll take a break. It is Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Pat Boyle joins us next. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by Advantage Gold. Before kickoff, get help securing your financial future with Advantage Gold today. Text GOLD to 85545 now and request your free gold investment kit, or go to AdvantageGold.com for terms. Message and data rates may apply. The Blue Jays straightened up after taking a big gut punch Monday, evening the World Series last night at 2 games apiece. Tonight comes the pivotal Game 5. And after the big response, Jays manager John Schneider feels good about his team heading into the matchup.
I feel really good about just us, focusing on tomorrow's game. And Trey, I think, has been someone that's kind of come into our environment and he understands kind of how we go about it. So I don't want him to think, he has to do anything other than what we expect him to do.
Rookie Trey Savage tries to continue his outstanding postseason run. He'll be on the mound tonight while the Dodgers counter with Blake Snell, who has been brilliant in the playoffs until Game 1 of the World Series. Aiden Hutchinson proved he's healthy after a broken leg last year, and today got a healthy new deal. The 25-year-old signed a 4-year extension worth a total of $180 million. All but $39 million is guaranteed. Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin out again after re-injuring his quad. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey-o, this is Pat Boyle. Get all your sports talk here on the Infinity Sports Network. Always available on the free Odyssey app.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Under the moon of the neon glow, Bad Take Boyle hosts the overnight show. He doesn't wear pants and refuses to yield. He's the #1 fan of Justin Fields. He said the Jets will win this year. Now turns around and says the future's unclear. Boyle makes picks, he's not afraid. I listen to his picks, then I Boyle is here with another network draft. Him and Pete the Body giving Samcher the shaft. Oh, Bad Take Boyle, the new hot take hack. Catch him every Wednesday, he's on here with Zach. That's the real deal, no time for faker. Last year in the NBA playoffs, he picked the Lakers. So here comes Pat, he's no fool. He knows about tennis and pocket pool, but we tune in, we can't look away. Boyle's got bad takes to make your day.
Alrighty, it's time to ask the pros. You, the listener, gets to ask us a question brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show. We might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here he is, host at the Infinity Sports Network. We could hear him Monday through Fridays from 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern Time. The great Pat Boyle. Pat, how are you?
Hey, what's going on, Zach? You know, I was told Justin Fields stinks. Fields.
Stop! He went up against a JV defense. Oh, stop!
Oh, so we're gonna move the goalposts.
It's
now,
one game.
Zach Gelb, mover of goalposts, shaker of Patriots pom-poms, and mover of goalposts.
Hold on. What's the record of the Jets?
1-7.
Thank you. I rest my case.
And how many losses? How many losses can you pin on Justin Fields? 1, 2, 2.5.
The guys played 2 good games this year. they're up against a crappy Steelers defense and a crappy Bengals defense. If this is what you want to hitch your wagon to, Justin Fields, be my guest. Be my guest. Go ahead. Pretend like Justin Fields is some really damn good quarterback, and let me know we're talking about him at the end of the year. All right? That's all I'm going to say.
I just find it funny that Justin Fields plays a nearly flawless game against the Steelers, and the defense blows it. Justin Fields and the Jets offense didn't do much in the first half against the Cowboys. They gave up 37 points, but Justin Fields still threw for nearly 300 yards.
The game was over at halftime. It's garbage time. Game was over 23 at halftime.
And because it's the defense's fault. But then all of a sudden, Justin Fields plays one bad game where his offensive line couldn't block me or my dead grandma from getting into the backfield.
Jeez.
And then all of a sudden, Justin Fields also has a bad game against the Panthers, much like the rest of the offense. Like, it's his fault that they didn't have a run game for most of the season. But then all of a sudden, Woody Johnson, the loser owner that he is, wants to throw Justin Fields under the bus. And then you have the debacle that happens. Tyrod Taylor can't even play. Justin Fields admits he's crying. Tyrod Taylor can't even play. Justin Fields admits he's crying in his closet and then balls out. But, it's the Bengals defense. So, you know what? It doesn't count.
Pat, you could be the quarterback up against the Bengals defense. I think you could lead a touchdown drive. Anyway, I don't want to do a ton on Justin Fields. I know you are a huge, huge, huge baseball guy because, right, you played college baseball or something like that. World Series, I think it's
D3, baby.
Yeah, D3. I know. I give you credit for that. You're probably a better D3 baseball player than Justin Fields is as a pro NFL quarterback. I don't even know what your stat line was, but World Series, right? Blue Jays take game 1, then Dodgers take game 2. You had the crazy 18-inning affair in game number 3, and then what a resilient effort from the Blue Jays last night. How do you think game 5 is going to play out later this evening?
Yeah, I think my claim to fame for my pitching career is I struck out Dalton Varsho in the Summer Collegiate League in the Northwoods League. That's right.
Wow, look at that. Right. Patty Boyle.
Dalton Varsho ripped a single off Shohei Ohtani, struck out against Pat Boyle. So, I don't know. Is Pat Boyle, should he be starting for the Dodgers? Who knows? But, yeah, look, I picked the Blue Jays to win in 7 before this series started, Zach. And then even myself, I found myself basically writing them off after they lose that marathon 18-inning classic game. And they just, once again, showed you how resilient they are, how special of a team they are. The offense lived up to their identity. Vladdy hits the home run, of course,
huge,
right?
Yeah.
And he's the hero, and he breaks Joey Bats and Joe Carter's postseason record for most home runs in a playoffs for the Blue Jays. But then after that 7th inning, it was single, double, single. They get an RBI ground out. That's who this team is, man. They are just so freaking tough to get out at the plate. Guys like Ernie Clement, who's hitting 400. He's got a 10-game hitting streak in the playoffs. Guys like Addison Barger. Jimenez, Bichette's back for this World Series. They put the bat on the ball. They do not strike out, and they made life a living hell in that 7th inning for Shohei Ohtani. That being said, I still, Dave Roberts, it might have not mattered anyway, but of course he's going to sprint to the bullpen to bring in Anthony Banda against the bottom of the order. I understand Shohei gave up 2 ropes to start that inning. Wouldn't you rather trust Shohei Ohtani to limit the damage, maybe give up just 1 run, throw 105 pitches, get through the 7th inning, and it's 3-1, rather you bring in the bullpen, and of course they melt down right away. So I said Dave Roberts was going to try to find ways to lose games in this series, and the Dodgers offense didn't do anything yesterday. Give Shane Bieber a ton of credit, but even then, I would have stuck with Ohtani in that 7th inning.
Yeah, I look for 3 things tonight. The pitching matchup, Snell, seeing if he could bounce back from game 1. Obviously, he's capable of it. Trey Savage, one of the best stories in baseball. Guy started the season in single A and then got called up in September, and he's been a really good pitcher for them, starting pitcher for them in the World Series, had the ball in game 1. So that pitching matchup is going to be interesting to me early, especially with how quickly both these managers may, go to their bullpens, even though they've been taxed the last 2 nights. Then you do get into, is George Springer going to play? Missed last night with the oblique injury that he suffered in game 3. And here's the thing. I was actually the lone person on the show yesterday that picked the Blue Jays just because everyone was saying it was the Dodgers and this series is over, and I totally get it. But I think tonight I think tonight is the Mookie Betts night. Where Mookie, all right, Freeman's had his moment. Ohtani had his moment. Mookie Betts has been quiet in this fall classic, and we know he's too great of a player to not take advantage. I think the Dodgers win tonight, and Mookie Betts has a big evening.
Yeah, I think that's a good prediction. We'll see. I don't know off the top of my head Mookie's career numbers against Blake Snell, but he traditionally hits, not Blake Snell, against Trey Savage. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't remember what he did in game 1, but I know he hasn't been having a good World Series for the most part. So I don't mind that prediction. You always feel like Teoscar Hernandez is vital to go deep any game. But yeah, for me, it's can the 22-year-old rookie who made 3 regular season starts, now he's made 4 postseason starts. Do you get the Trey Savage that you got against the Yankees, where he was absolutely untouchable, and that splitter was like a bowling ball, was untouchable? Or do you get the Trey Savage that made his second start in the postseason against the Mariners and got hit around? It's going to come down to how effective his splitter is tonight, because we know the book is out on him, right? As much as the book can be out on a 22-year-old rookie, but it's the splitter. If it's working and it's keeping the Dodgers off balance, then he's going to have success. I think ultimately, though, you're just looking for 5 innings. Right? Toronto, that 7th inning was massive for them because it allowed them to go to Fluharty, the lefty specialist, for only 4 pitches. And then they got to throw Bassett, who's carved out a really nice role for himself as like the kind of quasi setup guy. And they didn't even have to use Hoffman. So they got their closer. They've got Sir Anthony Dominguez. Hopefully he doesn't lay a fat 97-mile-an-hour fastball right down the plate again to Ohtani. But if you get 5 innings out of Trey Savage, that's a massive win. And then Blake Snell was basically unhittable for his first 3 postseason starts. And then the Blue Jays smacked him around in game 1. So, at this point, they know each other. They know each other inside and out. It's going to come down to execution. Which pitcher is going to give the team more length? And then, again, it's probably going to come down to the stars. Who has a big night? You think it's Mookie? I don't think that's a bad prediction.
I know that you're a gambling guy. Looking at college football this week, Vanderbilt and Texas. Texas is home, and they are a 2.5-point favorite up against Diego Pavia and the Commodores of Vanderbilt. Does that spread make any sense to you that Texas is a 2.5-point favorite? Because I look at it and I say, Vegas is begging me to plus the 2.5 points with Vandy.
Yeah, I mean, look, we need to continue to see the evolution of Arch Manning, and he's growing, and we put way too much pressure and expectations on him before the year, and maybe that was unfair, but also when your last name is Manning, and we caught a glimpse of you last year. Of course, the expectation is going to be sky high, knowing the rest of that roster is talented. I love Diego Pavia. I think Vanderbilt they are gritty. They've won already a couple of games this year that teams gave them no chance, or people gave them no chance to win. Their only loss so far has been against Bama. So can Diego Pavia get the passing game going against the Texas defense that has played their ass off the last couple of weeks? I would lean Texas. I think the spread is fine. I would lean Texas, but I wouldn't be willing to touch this one either way. If anything, I think the total is in the mid 40s. I would probably be looking to take the over. I do think you get some offense here in this game. But in terms of picking a side, I don't think I can do one.
Real quickly, just give me the name. Next coach of LSU is whom?
Dabo Swinney.
What?
Yeah.
Dabo?
I think at the end of the year, if Clemson is thinking maybe Dabo's run his course, doesn't use the transfer portal, stuck in his ways, do we think we can find success elsewhere? Do we think we can find Sumrall if we bring him to Clemson, or Brent Key if we bring him to Clemson? Not too far of a move from Atlanta, where he's been the last couple of years. And Dabo Swinney says, okay, I'll go prove it. Give me the resources. Give me everything at LSU, and I'll go win.
It's a spicy take. I just don't see that happen. Anyway, he is Pat Boyle. That's why we love him. You listen to him on the overnights, 2 to 6 a.m. Eastern time right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Pat, thank you. We'll do it again next week. We're coming on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Jerry Hairston Jr. joins us 20 minutes from now.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. Jerry Hairston Jr. going to join us coming up 20 minutes from now. We will talk a little Game 5 of the World Series. Obviously, Jerry did play for the Dodgers, won a World Series also with the New York Yankees, so we'll get his thoughts on Game 5, and which has been a very fun series. In Game number 1, the Blue Jays, they took it to the Dodgers. Then Dodgers got off the mat with Yamamoto in Game 2, and he went the distance. Then Game 3, felt like it was Game 3 and Game 4, but it was only one game because it did go 18 innings. But you had Ohtani with his magic with the 2 home runs, all the walks, 4 intentional, 5 total walks, and then the big walk-off homer by one Freddie Freeman. And last night, everyone here in the station, everyone here across America, even bleeding into Toronto, were saying, That's it. Series is over. It's done. And I'm sitting here yesterday, and I hear Nico, right? Scarlatos go, oh, yeah, Dodgers going to win. Then I hear Stu said, oh, yeah, Dodgers are going to win. I go, 18-inning affair. Everyone's going to say the Blue Jays are donezo. Wouldn't this be a resilient Blue Jays moment? And it was. And now it's 4-4. I do think the Dodgers are going to win tonight. And I think they'll take a 3-2 series lead, and then this series will go back to Toronto. But either way, you're sitting there at 2-2. I think this makes for a heck of a watch and what could be a heck of a finish in the World Series. And I don't know about you guys, because Stu's a Yankee fan. So I don't know if you're rooting. Are you rooting for the Blue Jays or?
I am.
Oh, you are?
I am, yes.
Is that because of Mattingly is what, the bench coach? No, you don't want to see the Dodgers.
I feel like I don't want to see the Dodgers win another one. And I feel like the Blue Jays, of the 4 other AL East teams, I feel like they're the least, I don't know, annoying or team that has beat us the least over the past.
Don't tell that to Michael K.
Well, that is true. I know that there's been a
hanging on the rim. How do you like me now, Michael?
So I don't have a disdain for them like I do like the Red Sox or even the Orioles or the Rays.
Connor, are you a Met fan?
Met fan, yeah.
So I'm assuming you're rooting for the Blue Jays?
Yes, because, the Dodgers are annoying, and we have close family friends who are Blue Jays fans, too. So rooting along with them.
Okay, running through the 6. That's what you're going to be doing. So I want to see the Blue Jays win. I do. I think it actually, though, would be better for baseball tonight. Think about the storyline. If the Blue Jays win tonight, they're up 3-2, going back to Toronto. If the Dodgers win tonight, I still have a tough time seeing the Blue Jays hold off the Dodgers, even though the Blue Jays would be home in Game 6 and Game 7. I just have a tough time seeing that happen. However, if Toronto wins tonight, I think it makes for a heck of a story. Because I then believe we would get a Game 7, just the way I feel about it. But from a storyline standpoint, it's sexier to me, where, let me be real, I say, okay, the Blue Jays are America's team, and I think it's a little shtick, if I'm just being honest. Is my life going to be ruined? Am I going to be down in the dumps if the Dodgers win the World Series? No. Eventually, there's a respect factor where you got to tip your cap and you got to say, okay, Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Kershaw on the way out. Congratulations. As a Met fan, if the Phillies win the World Series, I'd be sick. The Yankees I don't hate, but recently I hate the Yankees because their fans are so obnoxious, picking and choosing when they care or admitting when they care about Juan Soto leaving. So it would be different if it was the Phillies, even the Braves, or the Yankees in the World Series. Like the Dodgers, what am I going to do? Oh, they're spending so much money? I'm a Met fan. If the Wilpons were there, it'd be a different story. We got Stevie Cohen. Spend, Stevie, spend. So I'm not going to be miserable if the Dodgers win the World Series. But as someone who, I guess, even though I just said I want the Blue Jays to win, that I kind of think I have a neutral perspective on this. I think if I'm a baseball fan with really not the Blue Jays or the Dodgers, right, with any skin in the game, I think it's a better storyline tonight if the Blue Jays win, to then see if the Dodgers could go to Toronto and win in Game 6 and Game 7 in what is going to be an environment that's going to be awesome. Remember the NLCS from a few years ago with the Diamondbacks and the Phillies? Right? The Phillies just had to win one game. I know it's a little bit different, but the Diamondbacks ended up winning 6 and 7. Ooh, 6-7. How about that? But tonight, if the Blue Jays could win, seeing the Dodgers, the big bad Dodgers, right, go to Toronto, to have to win 6 and 7 would be more interesting to me than the Dodgers winning tonight. And then obviously the Blue Jays could still win 6 or 7, but I think it's going to be so tough if the Dodgers win tonight with the way that team is constructed for the Blue Jays to win both 6 and 7, even though it would be at home. Once again, 6-7. Anyway, let's get to a little NFL and college football head coach hot seat. We have so many changes already in college football. In the NFL, not so much. Obviously, you had Callahan who already got sent packing. And I'm still surprised that Mike McDaniel has a job, but he has continued that suffering for another week because he was able to get a victory up against a coach that, let's be real, isn't all that. And Raheem Morris, who 4 weeks ago, he's parading around like he won a Super Bowl after they beat the Buffalo Bills. Since then, they've lost 2 games in a row. And you just got blown out at home. At home. I get Kirk Cousins was starting. But still, you can't be competitive up against a garbage Miami Dolphins team. So we have one opening that already happened in the NFL. And then you get to college. You have so many, headlined by Brian Kelly getting ousted at LSU, Billy Napier getting sent packing at Florida, and then also you do have Penn State getting rid of James Franklin and a few other jobs, obviously, as well. More than a few other jobs, obviously, as well. So Stu has compiled a list of names here, and I'll tell you if I think they're going to be back next season.
All right, you started with McDaniel with the Dolphins, and like you said, they come off a win this past week, but they are 2-6, and it does feel like he is on borrowed time in Miami.
Yeah, if there is an owner that, like, remember when Dan Quinn, it was obvious it wasn't going to work anymore in Atlanta, and they kept on keeping him around. And hey, Dan Quinn was in a Super Bowl. Mike McDaniel hasn't won a playoff game, but he's made the playoffs twice. But there's just some owners that they baffle you in how long they're going to wait to get rid of the head coach and the GM. There is no way that Mike McDaniel nor Chris Grier should be back next year. But can I say that they're both 100% going to be gone after the season? I can't, because there is some weird just love that Stephen Ross has for Grier and McDaniel. But I would say yes, it's probably like an 85 to 90% chance that McDaniel's going to be gone after this season.
All right, what about the Bengals? Zach Taylor is their head coach. They are 3-5. They've allowed a league-high 253 points, so the defense still stinks. But, of course, Joe Burrow has not been healthy since week 2, and he might miss the rest of the season or most of the season. What about Zach Taylor with the Bengals?
I think it's the perfect time to reset, where Zach Taylor has done a good job. He should be a head coach again in this league. He got them to the Super Bowl. But when you miss the playoffs for this many seasons, and assuming they miss the playoffs once again this year, it's tough for me to justify bringing you back, even though you got screwed this year with Joe Burrow going down. But even if Joe Burrow was healthy, how good would they really be with a defense that is just absolutely terrible? A defense that allows, how about the courage of Pat Boyle coming on this show? And Pat Boyle, after he's been wrong for so many weeks, and he's sitting there saying, oh, Zach, with your Patriot pom-poms out there. Pat Boyle is a Cleveland Browns fan, and he is basically throwing rose petals at the feet of Justin Fields. Like, what is it? One game. And it was against a lousy Bengals defense. So I look at the Bengals, and what are the Bengals synonymous with? Being cheap. There's only 1 year left on this contract for Zach Taylor. So it comes down to, do you say to yourself, okay, it's time to move on? Or do you say, well, Joe Burrow got hurt, so it's tough to really hold that against him? I would say it should be more of the former than the latter. And I don't know if Joe Brady will be a great head coach, but he knows Jamar Chase very well. He knows Joe Burrow very well. I think it's time to just reset at the head coaching position. So I'm going to say it's more probable than not that Zach Taylor is out after this season.
What about someone that has won 2 Coach of the Year awards, and that is Kevin Stefanski with the Browns. Obviously, the Browns have not been good this year. They are 2-6. They are on to their second quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. Will we see Shador Sanders at some point? That remains to be seen, but what about Stefanski with the Browns?
If I'm Kevin Stefanski, I want to get fired by the Cleveland Browns. I don't want to be back next season. He'll get a job somewhere else. He's a good coach. Like Stu said, he's won 2 Coach of the Year awards in Cleveland. But this is a miserable situation right now. You have a really damn good defense. But offensively, Dylan Gabriel's not going to be the answer. Jerry Jeudy is vastly overrated. Right? And this offense doesn't have much to offer, and you're sitting there, and every week you got to get asked about Shador Sanders, who, quite frankly, I would just rip off the Band-Aid and play him. But that's not what the Cleveland Browns are going to do, it feels like, for the foreseeable future. You know, at some point, I guess Shador will play, but I don't know when. But by some point, by the end of the season, I think he's going to play. If I'm Stefanski, I'm saying, hey, I won 2 Coach of the Year awards in Cleveland. I think someone will hire me, and you could go get a better job, because even with a lot of jobs that are going to open up, right, the 4 to 8 jobs that will open up, there is a place that you can land that probably instantly you already have it better in that place than where you have it right now in Cleveland. So I think at the end of the year, Andrew Berry will stay, but Kevin Stefanski will part ways or be let go, however you want to word it. And I think that he's going to have a smile on his face saying, whew, I got out of Cleveland.
All right, sticking in that AFC North, the team that many people thought were Super Bowl contenders coming into the year, the Baltimore Ravens, 2-5. Any chance that John Harbaugh is on the hot seat?
He should be on the hot seat because they can't win the big game. I know Lamar has been hurt. I don't see them making a change, though. I think he's starting to enter Mike Tomlin territory, and I know they're kind of similar, right? Tomlin won a Super Bowl. Harbaugh has won a Super Bowl. They're both really, really good. They're not going to be bad enough where by record they should get fired, but it's about winning championships there. I think that's a conversation where a year or two from now, maybe it grows a little bit more. But I think right now it's still a minority opinion, and I don't think that John Harbaugh is going to get fired after the season.
All right, let's make it 4-4 in the AFC North. What about Mike Tomlin? They have Aaron Rodgers as
you're right. We went through all the North coaches.
We kind of have Rodgers as the Band-Aid quarterback for this year, maybe next year. They are 4-3, but they certainly have not looked good the last 2 weeks. Could this be the last year of Mike Tomlin with the Steelers?
I said I would give Mike Tomlin, including this season, 2 more seasons. By the end of the next 2 seasons, this one and the one after that, he either has to win a playoff game or find the franchise quarterback. If he's done neither, I would get rid of him. That's me saying that. I don't think the Rooney family has any desire to get rid of Mike Tomlin. He's not getting fired.
All right, what about a first-year head coach, someone that finally got his first win of the season this past week? What about Aaron Glenn? Could he be one and done with the Jets?
I don't think he's going to be a successful head coach. I do think Woody Johnson's going to bring him back next season. Now, he keeps on going back and forth with the media after the owner said something that was pretty clear and obvious. That may not be good news for Aaron Glenn, but I think he'll be back next year as the coach of the Jets. And Woody Johnson going out of his way to trash the quarterback while not trashing the head coach, I guess in a way makes me think even more that Aaron Glenn will be back next season. But I don't believe in him.
What about another first-year head coach, Brian Schottenheimer with the Cowboys? They haven't been terrible, 3-4-1, but their defense has not been good, and it is Jerry Jones, so I guess you never know.
Jerry Jones is patient. I know people don't think that, but he usually gives the coaches a longer rope than usually what people think. I don't think there's any chance Brian Schottenheimer is getting fired after this year.
The team with the longest losing streak is the Arizona Cardinals. They've lost 5 in a row. What about Jonathan Gannon?
And this is now year 3, I believe, for Gannon. There's going to be a question about Kyler Murray, and there's going to be a question about Gannon. I'll put it at 52%. I think it's a flip of the coin right now. And I think it's a 52% chance that he is going to get fired. I lean more that he is going to get fired than he's not. I don't know if he's a bad coach necessarily, and that roster's just not that good. But usually in this league, 3 years and not much success, then usually they do say goodbye to you.
All right, want to switch gears to some college football guys here. Hugh Freeze, it's been a disappointing year at Auburn. What about Hugh Freeze, his chances of retaining his job?
I think he has a chance to retain his job. I would say it's about a 35% chance. The AD has not come out yet, though, and give him a vote of confidence, and that has been a topic of conversation. But through 3 years right now, it's just not going the way that people envisioned it at Auburn. I would get rid of him. And also, you have all these changes happening. Also, changes happening in the SEC. I think that, Hugh Freeze is gone at the end of the season.
All right.
Play some golf.
How about Mike Norvell of Florida State? They had that big win against Alabama to start the season, but it's been downhill since then. They've lost 4 in a row. They are 0-4 in the ACC.
He's gone because the athletic directors basically came out and said, hey, he's definitely going to be our coach until the end of the season, then we'll reevaluate things. You know what? Is that him? You know what he's saying right there? Hey, we need more money. Fork up the dough if you want the coach out to the boosters. That's basically the challenge that he issued. I know Tommy Bowden joined us, and he said that he believes Norvell will be back next year because they don't have the money. I think there's going to be a way to get the money, especially with all these big programs that are saying goodbye to coaches. So Norvell's a nice guy, but I think he's going to be out.
All right, Mark Stoops, he turned around that Kentucky program, but again, our team that is struggling this year, they are 0-5 in the SEC. What about Mark Stoops?
He's done a heck of a job at Kentucky. I think it's time to reset. Summerall probably going to get a bigger job, but he played there at Kentucky. I think this is one of those things where they agree that it's time for both parties to move on, and they try to go find a younger coach. And if Mark Stoops wants to continue to coach, he'll land somewhere at a smaller program, probably a non-Power 4 program would be my guess. I think he's out.
All right. Luke Fickell was a decorated hire from Cincinnati at Wisconsin, but they are pretty bad this year. Is any chance that he keeps his job?
I think so. It's like the Wisconsin fan base is great. In the national landscape, though, obviously they're a nice brand and they got good fans. I don't think I know that they're hurt right now. And the fans have been chanting fire Fickell, and Barry Alvarez went all back and forth with the fans. I just thought was ridiculous in terms of Barry. But I kind of think Fickell should be out, but I think he will be back for one more season next year. I think he'll be back next season with that Tuchus on the hot seat in a big way. On fire!
All right, what about Bill Belichick? His first year college coach, North Carolina, but it has not gone well. Could Belichick be one and done in UNC?
Maybe I'm an idiot here, and where there's smoke, there's a fire, and every indication makes you believe that Bill Belichick's going to be out at the end of the year. I kind of think that he's going to be back next year. I know it's ugly, but I'm trying to figure out what is the actual reality of what's going on. Now, Pablo Torre keeps on digging. He may be out, but even though I probably should say he's out, I think Belichick is back next year, and I would probably say his second year is his last year at UNC.
From North Carolina to South Carolina came into the season with some expectations, and they have not been met. Could Shane Beamer be fired or at least on his way to Virginia Tech or somewhere?
I feel like James Franklin's going to be the next head coach at Virginia Tech. That's what I'm just feeling. And I think it's a good spot for James. No national championship expectations. He's a good coach, not a great coach. You get out of the spotlight a little bit. You go win 8 to 10 games. You'll be a legend there. If I'm right that you're going to see James Franklin at Virginia Tech, and that would be my prediction. And I guess you can't have Pry on his staff because they just fired him as the head football coach. He used to be his DC at Penn State. I would then say Shane Beamer is going to stay at South Carolina. So not a good year for them with the Gamecocks, but I think Shane Beamer is going to be back at South Carolina.
All right, last one here. How about Dave Aranda at Baylor? Again, our team with some expectations, but they are just 4-4 this year.
Dave Aranda's out. He's gone. You know, he took over a really good situation where Matt Rule basically built it back up at Baylor. He won a Big 12 championship, give him credit. He could be the next coach at UCLA. I could see that. But this year has been a disaster. And here's the big problem. They're not showing up to games. Those fans are not showing up to games. So I think Dave Aranda's out. I'll give you one more, just this is NFL. Brian Daboll. I'm curious about Daboll, where John Mara is obviously going through a cancer battle right now, and I wish nothing but the best for John Mara. Daboll has the relationship with Dart, but I do wonder that to me is a fascinating one. It's possible you draft a quarterback in the first round and then you get rid of the coach and the GM. We see that all the time now in the league. Look at Cam Ward. I know Borgonzi's going to stay, with Tennessee, but they already got the coach out. I'm curious about Daboll. That's the one I really don't know. And I would lean that Mara gives him another year. And we'll see, obviously, what Mara's health is. I don't even know what the decision-making process is going to be on that one. But it's when you watch the Giants, I know that a few weeks ago they had a nice performance up against the Eagles. And they blew that game up against the Broncos. I just wonder, when you keep on losing and losing and losing, even if you think the quarterback's going to be a heck of a quarterback, if the coach is going to be able to keep his job. All righty, we'll take a timeout. We'll come on back. Jerry Harrison Jr. will join us next. But first, DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NBA. It is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code GELB, G-E-L-B. That's code GELB. Bet $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass. Plus, get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Casino and Resort, Kansas. Pass-through or per wager tax may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Must be present in state where it's lawful to wager. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets that are non-cash credits that expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass subject to blackouts and other restrictions, and auto renews until canceled. Additional terms, dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer, valid until November 16th, 2025.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, we continue. This is Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. The World Series is all tied up at 2 games apiece after the Toronto Blue Jays got a huge Game 4 victory after what was the 18-inning affair for Game 3 earlier in the week. You have Game 5 tonight. Let's head out to the hotline right now and welcome in a former Los Angeles Dodger. He also won a World Series with the Yankees, and that, of course, is our pal, Jerry Hairston Jr. Jerry, appreciate the time as always. How you been?
Anytime, Zach. Been great, man. Hopefully, you just mentioned the Dodgers and Blue Jays tied up 2-2. I'm hoping for my sake the Dodgers go up 3 games to 2 after tonight.
Well, I'm just hoping for your sake. You're not in a gym right now. I remember last time you joined us, you got accosted by some lady who was angry at you for working out and talking to us. You're not in a gym right now, right?
I'm in that very same gym, but instead of being in the gym way in the cut, like in a room that nobody's in, that lady came in that room and attacked me, and she was suspended for the gym momentarily, which is good. I'm outside now in a safe place.
Wow. So we got someone suspended from a gym. That's a pretty high honor for us.
Well, she got herself suspended. She can't be threatening people at the gym. Come on, let's be real.
Yeah, 100%. Jerry Hairston Jr. with us. So after the 18-inning game, a lot of people thought the World Series was over. People were saying, the Dodgers with Ohtani on the mound, we're going to win Game 4. Clearly that didn't go the way the Dodgers fan or a lot of people were predicting last night. Just how about the resiliency of that Toronto Blue Jays squad last night?
Well, it's amazing. Our guy who does the point guard of our show, John Hartog, does an amazing job. I told him last night I didn't really feel good about that game, Game 4, because it did go 18 innings. And, yes, the Dodgers did win that ball game. But, the Blue Jays are a great hitting ball club. They let all of Major League Baseball in batting average. So they have different clubs in their bag. They'll take their base hits. They'll base hit you to death, but they also have power as well. We saw with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. last night. But they take their hits. I think the Dodgers sometimes get in trying to knock you out. Throw those haymakers, try to have that knockout punch instead of taking your jabs as a boxer. Jab, 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 right cross, and then once the guy is staggered, then you throw that knockout blow. I think last night, because both teams are tired, suited the Blue Jays. The way their hitting philosophy is a little bit better. When you're tired, it's tough to hit home runs. It is so tough to hit home runs, and they base hit us to death last night, and they're able to beat us. And Shohei Ohtani, for him to go out there and give us 6 innings, strong innings, and give us a chance to win is just a testament of how great he is, man. It's a shame the Dodgers weren't unable to help him and with some run support.
From the ending of the NLCS to where we are right now, I know that we're probably all running out of adjectives to describe what Shohei Ohtani has been able to do. But really in the last 2 weeks, how do you kind of just put it into words?
He's the best baseball player I ever seen. I never saw Babe Ruth, obviously. I never saw Josh Gibson play. But for my eyes, now listen to me here, okay? Ted Williams, you can make an argument, is the greatest hitter of all time. You can make a case that Barry Bonds is the best hitter. And also you can make a case he's the best player, too, because he has stolen bases, MVPs. But what Shohei Ohtani is doing, Babe Ruth did not do this. Sure, Babe Ruth was a starting pitcher, and he thrived. Then he became a great hitter, and then he just focused on hitting, dropped the pitching. Shohei was doing both at the same time in the NLCS and in the World Series. And not only that, he's thriving with the bat. I never thought I would see this. He's literally he's doing things 12-year-olds do in Little League. He's doing this at the biggest level and on the biggest stage. So Shohei Ohtani, in my humble opinion, is the best baseball player my eyes ever seen.
Yeah, and I don't mean this in a literal way. And obviously I never saw Babe Ruth either. But it feels like it's Babe Ruth on steroids for at least the way that Babe Ruth was described to me.
Yeah, I would say that too. Because like I said earlier, Babe Ruth didn't do both at the same time. And for Shohei Ohtani to continue to do both, and not just do both, thrive at doing both. I just go back to NLCS. He strikes out the side in the first inning, then he hits a leadoff home run. He's not done there. He goes out there and deals on the mound, and then he hits 3 home runs that game. This is the NLCS. This ain't a game in April, which would be insane if he did that in April. He's doing it against great teams on the biggest stage. And listen, no disrespect to Aaron Judge, who is incredible player, great ambassador for the game. He's the captain of the Yankees. But right now, the best player, the best athlete in the world is Shohei Ohtani.
So Jerry Hairston Jr. is here with us. People just like to bitch and complain, and when they don't like something, they try to change things instantly, especially when you get so many people parachuting in for the World Series. The intentional walks, as you saw 4 of them in Game 3. Now, all of a sudden, and I sounded off on this the other day, like, what changes do people actually want? This is Major League Baseball. It's such a rare instance. If some player is that great enough where he wants to get intentionally walked 4 times, why should we implement a rule to prevent that? What did you make of all that conversation the last 24 to 48 hours?
Well, you can't change the rule on the fly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the rules that are in place right now. Now, if they want to revisit it in the offseason, you got to go through collective bargaining. You got to go through the Players Association. I don't think the rule is going to change.
Agreed.
We saw last night they pitched to Shohei Ohtani. I just think, kind of like with Barry Bonds, if they didn't do it for Barry Bonds, I don't think they're going to do it for Shohei as far as, making, the intentional walk a non-issue, meaning banning it or only doing it one time a game. I just think it was a rare thing. Shohei was extremely hot. The Dodger bats, outside of Shohei Ohtani, I think collectively have hit 194 in this World Series. So, if you're managing, you can't let Shohei Ohtani beat you. So I understand why they put Shohei Ohtani on. But at the same time, Mookie Betts in the past has made the other team pay for it. So I'm hoping, one of these times they walk Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts is going to make them pay for it.
Well, the craziest when they walk Ohtani and then walk Betts to get to Freddie Freeman. Like that's nuts to me. But I'll say this. Last night, I predicted when we were going around the room with my crew that the Blue Jays were going to win. I feel like Mookie Betts, with how great of a player he is, he's just due, and tonight's going to be the Mookie Betts game.
I agree. I have a strong feeling. I have a feeling Mookie Betts, he is too talented, and I saw some swings that he was making some adjustments last night. Now, he wasn't really rewarded for those swings last night, but usually it's the second day. Once you found something, it's that second day, and I have a feeling he's gonna have a big night tonight. And listen, Blake Snell's going to need run support. He's been outstanding this postseason. This Blue Jay team does an incredible job putting the ball in play and spoiling tough pitches. So I think Blake Snell against this Blue Jay team has to bring his A game. I hope you're right, Zach. I hope Mookie Betts is on as well.
Are you confident after what happened in Game 1 that you're going to see, obviously, a huge response game tonight in a pivotal Game 5 from one Blake Snell?
I am. Blake Snell is not only very talented, he's one of the most smartest players, not just pitchers, players I've been around. He's very cerebral. It knows what the opposition is trying to do to him. And I think he was off in that Game 1. Remember, that was a long layoff, not just for Blake, but the rest of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think now he's in his normal rest, normal routine. He's going to make the necessary adjustments, and I think he's going to execute those pitches. So hopefully the Blue Jays, I mentioned it, they're a very talented team. They're a great, scrappy bunch of guys, 1 through 9. I'm hoping they bring their C game against Blake Snell's A game tonight.
And here's the other thing. Inexperience could go one or two ways. One, obviously, the moment could be too big. Or two, since you don't know what really is happening, you just take advantage of it, and it could actually help you. When you look at a guy like Trey Savage, who's going to be getting the ball tonight for the Blue Jays, and the story's incredible. Started the year in single-A baseball, didn't get called up until September, started Game 1 of the World Series, and now is starting a pivotal Game 5 tonight with this series started tied up at 2 games apiece. What do you expect out of him? What are the realistic expectations if you're a Blue Jays fan to get out of Trey Savage tonight?
Well, here's the one thing. If I'm a Blue Jays fan, he's not going to be scared of the moment. You're not. And he's a guy that really dealt against the Yankees, a really good Yankees lineup.
Yeah.
He's already pitched in big games. Even though he's a rookie, he's made more postseason starts than regular season starts, which is insane. But he's poised. He trusts his stuff. I think the biggest key tonight, it's a lot easier said than done. I know as a former player and hitter, if you lay off that slider, that split finger, try to keep him up in the strike zone. Hopefully you count at 2-1, 2-0, 3-1. Now you force him to come in the strike zone. And if you start squaring balls up, maybe, hopefully in the Dodgers side, you scare him out of the strike zone. But he's got great stuff. He's got great makeup. I expect him to pitch pretty well tonight, but I expect the Dodgers to put really good at-bats against him tonight.
Wrap it up with Jerry Hairston Jr. on the Zach Gelb Show. Obviously, the Stars are dominated with the Dodgers in the World Series, from Ohtani to Betts and Freeman. with all those MVPs, and then even for some of them World Series MVPs. On the other side, though, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., obviously everyone loved his dad. He's one of my favorite baseball players growing up, and so many people know Vladdy through his dad and also with the fact that Vladdy's a heck of a baseball player. But to see him have that moment last night and really showcase that personality on such a huge stage in a Game 4, that was a great thing for baseball, even though your Dodgers didn't get the victory.
No, let me tell you, I said it before the series started. No disrespect to any player, whether it's Jackson Chirios or Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, the best player this year that this Dodger team is going to face in the postseason is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He is not just a slugger. He is a great hitter. He's a complete hitter. He's very smart. Shohei Ohtani struck him out on a slider his very first at-bat. His next at-bat, he makes that adjustment. Hunting slider, he got it up in the zone, drove out of the ballpark. And he's not just a great hitter. He is a great baseball player, runs the bases extremely well. He can steal a base. And at first base, he's a third baseman playing first. He's got great range. He's got great hands. And that play he made the other night to cut off that ball up the line and then gun down Teoscar Hernandez at third base, very few first basemen I see make that play. He is such a talented player and a great ambassador for this sport, not just for Canada and Toronto. He's a great ambassador for the game of baseball. I love watching him play, but I don't want to see him succeed anymore. He's got his shine. Everybody knows he's a great player. Vladdy, we know you're a great player. You're just as good, maybe better than his dad at some point, which is saying something, which is insane because his dad was unbelievable. But I think his dad would love to say that his son is better than him. So he's a great player, and I'm hoping he's had enough shine and Dodgers limit his damage, and the Dodgers go on to win the series.
Do you think Springer gives it a go tonight?
You know what? That's tough to say. If he wasn't ready to go last night, anytime you're dealing with an oblique, that's probably the worst injury to have as a hitter. And not only as a designated hitter at that, because you're not out in the field, staying hot, running the outfield and coming back and hitting. He's kind of – I know they got the batting cages down there below. It's kind of hard for him to DH and stop and go. And he swings so violently. I would be shocked if he gives it a go. Again, listen, they just tied the series. They know now they're going back to Toronto. If I'm the manager, I would probably give him today off too, because you have another day off tomorrow and hoping for Game 6. That's what I would probably do, because anytime you're dealing with an oblique, that is a very serious injury, especially when you're swinging the bat.
Do you feel like whoever wins a game tonight will end up winning the series?
I do. I really do. I think tonight is a must-win for the Dodgers. It's not so much a must-win for the Blue Jays, but if they do somehow win this ball game, you got to figure they feel great. You get 2 games at home to win 1. So that's why I think this game means a lot more to the Dodgers. It is a must-win for the Dodgers. Now, that doesn't say they can't go out and win 2 games in Toronto because they're very talented. They got great pitching. But listen, it's like Max Muncy said last night, it's a 1-game series now. All we're worried about is game 5 to get in this game, and I think they need this game tonight.
He's Jerry Hairston Jr., played for the Dodgers, also a World Series champion with the New York Yankees, joining us on the Zach Gelb Show, and didn't have any crazy ladies yelling at him this time when he was doing an interview with us. Jerry, we appreciate the time as always.
Anytime, Zach.
There he is, Jerry Hairston Jr. joining us on the show. Let's take a timeout. We'll come on back. Man, oh, man. The Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry. Oh, he had some comments about Scott Woodward. Matt Moscona nailed it yesterday on the show. We will react to those comments, and they are juicy. Juicy when we return in 5 minutes. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's brought to you by Progressive Commercial Insurance, who protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Quote today at progressivecommercial.com. The World Series will go back to Toronto, but first, one final game in L.A. takes place tonight. The pivotal Game 5 with the Dodgers and Blue Jays even at 2, and Toronto showed great resolve coming right back after the crushing 18-inning loss on Monday night. Now it's Dave Roberts' turn to see how his team responds with a trip to Rogers Center on deck.
My hope is we regroup tomorrow, gather the information that we had from Yasevich, and keep him in the hitting zone and understand what that split does, which is certainly helpful. And when we get the fastball, really get on it.
Blake Snell looks to bounce back from his loss in Game 1. He'll start for the Dodgers as rookie Trey Yasevich goes for the Blue Jays. Aiden Hutchinson is a cornerstone of the Lions, and today got a healthy extension. The 25-year-old signed a 4-year, $180 million deal. All but $39 million is guaranteed. The former second-round pick, one of the most dominant pass rushers in the game, and returned to form after last year's broken leg. The Commanders, Terry McLaurin, out again after re-injuring his quad. The Jets reportedly sending corner Michael Carter in a 7th-rounder to the Eagles for receiver John Mechie in a 6th-rounder. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in the right place. The Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, this Thursday Night Football preview on a Wednesday is sponsored by Square. More than 4 million neighborhood businesses run on Square. To learn more, go to square.com or just stop by your favorite local business. See you in the neighborhood, Square. Tomorrow night, the Ravens visit the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Both teams are coming off of wins last week as the Ravens sit at 2-5 and the Dolphins are 2-6. The Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry, just spoke to the media. We will get you some of those clips coming up in about a minute or two. But my, oh my, did he take a blowtorch to the career of the current athletic director at a Louisiana State University in Scott Woodward, who I'm going to imagine, I'm just going to assume after we play you those clips, he ain't going to be the athletic director at LSU for that much longer. Now, Matt Moscona joined us yesterday, who hosts on ESPN Baton Rouge, and he said to us that when I said, okay, like my two predictions for the LSU head coach is either Lane Kiffin or John Summerall. Who are the two guys that you believe could be the next head coach at LSU? And he goes, it's tough for me to answer because he goes, I don't know who's making the hire. And I said, okay, expand. And when he expanded, he said, I think it's inevitable that Scott Woodward, because LSU still has to hire a new president. When that new president is hired, the AD Scott Woodward, who hired Jimbo Fisher at A&M and all the money that was tied up there, and also hired Brian Kelly at LSU, he got, both those coaches, the buyouts are crazy. So he thinks that the new president is Moscona, that the new president is going to inevitably fire the AD and Scott Woodward. And then I said, well, do you think that's going to happen before they hire a new football coach? And he said yes. So, Stu, in order of these clips, the one that you just cut up, we should probably play that one first, I would imagine. So let me play a little excerpt from the press conference today with the Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry.
We are not going down a failed path. And I wanted to tell you something. This is a pattern. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M $70-something million. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. I mean, maybe we'll let President Trump pick it. He loves winners. I'm not going to be picking the next coach. But I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that that coach is successful. And we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly. And we're going to put metrics on it. Because I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country. And then leaving the taxpayers on the foot, to foot the bill. So, yeah, absolutely.
It almost sounds fake. It's real. But when I was listening to it, and it's from verified people in the college football world, Trey Wallace and Dellinger and all these guys, Ross Dellinger, and I go, that doesn't sound real. It almost sounds like a comedian doing a crappy Trump impersonation. Maybe they'll let Donald Trump, he likes winners. He'll pick the new head coach. Could you imagine? Donald Trump, let me tell you, we got a big, good football program here. Oh, my God. That's how Nick Saban could be the next head coach at LSU. Donald Trump picks it. Oy, 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 oy. All right, let's hear more from the Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry, on LSU and how they're going to proceed moving forward?
No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach. Hold on. One real quick thing.
You're going to find us a coach.
Because here's what y'all reporters need to do. Y'all need to start looking at who represents all these people, like these agents. You know what's interesting? If I'm not mistaken, Woodward's agent, Kelly's agent, the Texas A&M, they're all the same agent. Like, you realize if I would be, I don't know how many sports writers we got here today? Just you. We should have a bunch. Okay? Like, this is ridiculous. Lawyers would be disbarred for the way these agents act and the way they're able to represent. In fact, there's no doubt, they may even represent some of the players now. Like, it's really time for the NCAA to put on some guardrails in college sports. Because, and it's fine. We don't need the guardrails. If big billionaires want to spend all that kind of money, no problem. But if I got to go find $53 million from Kemp, it's not going to be a pleasant conversation. I'm just telling you.
Oh, my God. You know who he sounds like? A crappy Trump impersonation with, like, a high-pitched Ed Orgeron. If they had a little nookie time, the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, would be the offspring. Oh, those are some juicy quotes. Is there a press briefing today with the president? Would you be interested in hiring the next head football coach at Louisiana State University? Oh, my God. I'm telling you, the days you do this job, that if you would have told me that we would have a press conference from the governor of Louisiana talking about how Donald Trump could be picking the next head football coach at LSU while trashing the current AD and Scott Woodward, I would not have believed that. That's one of those reality TV moments where I sit there and I go, we got to talk about this. That's what we got to talk about right now. Oh, my God. That's something. That is really, really something. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. You know, I'm telling you. His voice is an all-timer. An all-timer. Oh, I want the press briefing today or tomorrow. You have who's the girl from CNN? Collins, I think her name is. Right?
Yeah, Caitlin Collins.
Caitlin Collins, thank you. I'm not very political. But, hey, President Trump, the Louisiana governor joked or was maybe serious about you picking the next head football coach. Who would you hire as the next head football coach of LSU? Let me tell you, that Lane Kiffin.
Great guy.
Shawne Merriman is going to join us next. It's the Zach Gelb Show. Right here on the Infinity Sports Network. I'm telling you, that guy is like those crappy Trump impersonators. I'm not a good one. That like just accost people on the street. That's what the governor of Louisiana sounded like. Oh, my God.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, hour number 3 of our radio program. That's right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll head out to the guest line right now. We're going to welcome in one of our favorites, Shawne Merriman. Obviously, Lights Out Extreme Fighting is back, and they got a big card coming up on November 1st. And the former star linebacker in the NFL, Shawne Merriman, is back on the show with us. Shawne, appreciate the time. How you been?
You got it, brother. All good, man. Grinding away. Big. It's always a little bit hectic fight week, but making it through.
All righty, let me start you off with your Chargers. They got off to that 3-0 start. Then they lost 3 out of 4. They beat the Vikings, obviously, last week, crushed them on Thursday Night Football. should get another win this weekend in Tennessee. You got a tough division. The Raiders stink, but the Chiefs are humming now. The Broncos are playing some solid football. What's your evaluation almost halfway through the season so far with the Chargers?
Well, I'll say this. The amount of injuries, and I don't want to make an excuse for these guys at all, but the amount of injuries they've had, not just regular injuries, I'm talking about like their star players, their key players. Both running backs go down, one for the season and the other one for 7 weeks with the ankle sprain. You had Rashawn Slater to go down before the season start. Joe Alt moves over. He goes down for weeks. Khalil Mack is out. And I'm like, is this curse that everybody talking about? Is it real? Because that's what it felt like. So, the whole point of it is how can they survive, right? How can they get through the weeks with that amount of injuries? And they found a way against the Vikings. I mean, I'm not saying that they're back where they were the first couple weeks of the season, but they sustained enough to put themselves back in position where they can win some games from now on. I
understand what you're saying with the injuries. Totally get it. With that being said, you know how we dumb everything down, right? It's always coaching quarterback. A lot of people believe in Jim Harbaugh. For some reason, Justin Herbert is polarizing. I think he's a really good quarterback. But what's your evaluation of Herbert as a quarterback with what you've seen this year?
It's funny. So Herbert, especially I think in the game in Denver, he's had some games this year where towards the end, he got over the hump that everybody tried to put in front of him, right? Oh, he can't. He's not clutch. He can't win the big game. He can't put the team on his back and go out and do what he needs to do. Well, he's done that. And so, and then two, I just think this year they're asking for a different Justin Herbert. In the past, it was the big 50-yard bombs down the field, the explosive plays. They're not asking him to do that for them to win anymore. That's why he's being successful. And really, when you got a good and balanced team, you shouldn't have to, right? And so he can go out and win games when he needs to, but he shouldn't have to do that. So his requirements and what they're asking him to do now is not be this magnificent, game winner and make these big plays all the time. He's going out and doing what the team needs to do to win the fit in the scheme in which Jim Harbaugh implemented with that team.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy when you look at the AFC. The NFC, I think there's a bunch of good teams, and I think it's really going to be a slugfest to get to the Super Bowl. The AFC feels so open. You got Buffalo and New England in the AFC East. No one in the NFC North that I think is really standing out to me. The South, the Colts have been a heck of a story. And then you got those three teams in the West where the Chargers and Broncos are good, and the Chiefs are now getting back off the mat, and they're starting to figure it out again. Who would be your pick right now to get to the Super Bowl out of the AFC?
Well, I was on the field and I was talking to Reggie Wayne, before the Colts game, and I don't think they're getting talked about enough. And just the transition from Daniel Jones going from where he was in New York to what he's doing for the Colts, he looks like a completely different player. And also the running back, man, that dude is going to. I mean, he's setting records right now, but I think when this thing ends up, if he keeps on, the road he's on, and he doesn't have any significant injuries, I think you can start talking and putting him up there in the category with great running backs. He's having those type of years. So, as much as I love my Chargers, and I think they're bouncing back just fine, and they're going to be in a contention towards the end of the season. When you're talking about teams in general, especially on the AFC side, people aren't talking about how dangerous the Colts are. The Colts are a very dangerous team right now. More importantly, just how they're running the ball, and that defense is not getting enough credit as well.
Colts, Chiefs, AFC Championship game in Indianapolis. Who would you pick?
I'm not going against the Chiefs. I've done that so many times before in the past, and it's backfired on me so many times. And it's hard to go against the Chiefs. Even before, when people were just down on them. I know they lost the first game of the year against the Chargers, and everybody's jumping off the bandwagon. I was like, do you guys realize who's throwing the football? Do you realize who's the head coach? They were missing Rice. They was missing Xavier Worthy. They were missing some key components of that team. And then two, that defense, Drew Tranquill, who's former Charger as well. They got some guys on that team that they're going to always bounce back and be a contention towards the season when the season ends.
Yeah, and obviously, Rashee Rice with the suspension was out the first 6 games. But you see how important he is to that team and the other element that he adds. You played in an era where you were going up. You had great teams, like phenomenal teams. But eventually everyone would run into Belichick and Brady. And there's years where the Patriots would get off to 2-2 starts. And you'd have people saying, I don't like the coach, or this is the beginning of the end. And look at the run that they had. Do you feel like when you're watching Kansas City with Reed and Mahomes that you're sitting there saying, this is just a new version of Brady and Belichick.
Anytime anybody bring up the fact that we didn't win championships, and I say, look, let me tell you why. Well, you got to go through Ben Roethlisberger first. When you get through him, you go through Peyton Manning. When you get through him, now you got to see the final boss over in Tom Brady. So yeah, you're going to have to see the Chiefs at some point. And depending on what shape they're in, injury-wise, or if they got some momentum going, you can be in trouble. And so that's why I don't pay too much attention to the first 6 weeks of the season. There's new coordinators, there's new coaches, new systems. Everybody's getting acclimated with each other. You start to see, like around week 8 or so, who teams really are, right? Because when the season starts, everybody got these high hopes of, hey, we're going to the Super Bowl. We're 0-0. We got a chance. Well, about week 8, everything started to kind of sort itself out, and I think that's what's happening right now.
I know you played for the Bills at the end of your career, and you love the Buffalo Bills fans, and they've been able to beat up the Chiefs in the regular season, but they can't get the job done in the postseason. Those two teams will play once again. I was around Buffalo 2 or 3 weeks ago in Atlanta where they lost that game, and they were asking Josh Allen to do so much, and he just didn't have it that night. And when the quarterback doesn't have it with that team, then they're not going to win many games. Buffalo, I still think, could be a heck of a team. They probably still, even though I'm a Patriot fan, they'll probably still win the AFC East, I would gather. But, man, you look at the Bills, and it's tough for me to get there where, yes, it's open in the AFC, and it'd be cool to see them go to a Super Bowl, but I just can't still wrap my head around it with just the way that it's gone the last few years and that team really just being so Josh Allen heavy right now.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest things for the Bills, and I'm, I love my Bills to death, is that they can't drop games that they should win, right? They just can't. And some of the losses they've had over the last, few weeks is winnable games. And you see what the comeback against the Ravens. You see what they can do, and the potential is when it's clutch, when the time matters. That right now it was what separated the Chiefs and the Bills. The Bills are equally as good a team as the Chiefs are. It's just that clutch factor. You got to get over the hump. And let me tell you, that window of opportunity to win a championship, it doesn't remain open all the time. I mean, you look at any team in history. You got about a 4-year window where the coaching staff, the front office, the players are as one. And then what happens? The assistant GM goes. You got a new quarterback coach, new offensive coordinator. It looks like a different team. So you have that window of opportunity. And they're approaching that, man. So you hope that they figure it out and get over that hump at least one time while Josh is there.
Talking to Shawne Merriman, we'll talk about Lights Out Extreme Fighting in just a second. You've been in locker rooms where players haven't been happy. There are contracts, right? There's dead cap money. Those things do exist. There's so much noise with A.J. Brown and the Eagles. I don't think he's getting traded by the deadline. But if you could ask A.J. Brown, hey, do you actually still want to be in Philly? Do you think he would say yes?
I think he'll say yes, but I don't think you're going to get a straight answer like yes. And, it's unfortunate because – and by the way, I don't want to call him a cancer because I don't think of that deep with him. But there's a stigma from when he left the Titans to going there. It's been kind of the same talk, right? The same. If things are not going well or he's not getting the ball or something happens, it's becoming a problem. And so what I hope not to happen is that as much as people don't think that the Eagles are as dominant as they are, they're still a very good team. And I think Saquon said this in this post-game interview. The whole job of this sport is to win, right? To win. However you win, you got to win. But it almost seems like when he's not getting the football or things not going his way, then it's a problem. The whole goal of this game is to win football games and put yourself in a position to win a championship. That's the goal. And I hope that it doesn't keep manifesting. It doesn't keep, moving forward and progressively get worse to the point where he becomes a cancer. And I don't think that of him at all right now. But if things are not going the way that he wants them to, whether it's targets or whatever the case is, I just hope that this thing doesn't pick up steam and it becomes a problem because that can really hurt them in that locker room.
So you have the Eagles at 6-2, the Packers at 5-1-1, the Lions at 5-2. Tampa's 6-2, and then the NFC West is loaded with the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers. Seahawks and Rams are 5-2. The Rams are 5-3. Who do you think is the best team in the NFC?
I like Tampa. I like Baker down there. I like what he's done for that team. I mean, he has probably one of the most remarkable comeback stories in football, in my opinion. Just him bouncing around. And people don't remember this. I mean, he was lined up on scout team defense in Carolina just some years ago, which is just crazy to me to even think about. And now he's leading a team could possibly be in championship, contending for a championship. And this guy was lining up, putting his hand in the dirt on scout team defense in Carolina. And after really not getting a shot, I think it was with the Rams. And so, but in my opinion, and I think is Mike Evans gone? Is he gone for? Is he?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to be out for the majority of the season, if not all the season.
Yeah, and so again, if they do win enough, and I think they're more than capable of doing it, maybe he comes back into the fold later on during the season or sometime in the playoffs. But I would say Tampa. Tampa to me is the most scariest team right now in the NFC because the way they're winning football games.
Baker Mayfield just has it. He has a toughness and a swagger to him. I don't know if Phillip Rivers really had a swagger to him, but he had a toughness to him. Do you see some similarities just in the way they carry themselves in Baker and Phillip Rivers, your former quarterback?
I was just talking about this. I was literally just talking about this, and they got a different kind of swagger. Like you're not gonna see Phil doing the Dougie anywhere or nothing crazy. But when Baker gets up after a hard hit and starts getting into a defender face, when he isn't backing down from confrontation, that the rest of that team and that locker room feeds off him. You look at the energy when he does that. What it does for the rest of the team. He does more than just throwing the football for them. He gives them a sense of confidence that you can win every week with Baker. And if you're not winning, you know that he's going to fight tooth and nail. He's going to give you everything he got. And for those type of guys, you will run through a wall for. And so he does a lot more for that team than just throwing the football.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy too because, right, Tampa, they had Tom Brady, won a Super Bowl, got to the second round of the playoffs, then made the playoffs again, even though that team wasn't that good. Brady retires, and you think, okay, the organization's just going to fold, and they're going to go back to kind of being irrelevant. Baker walks in. It's 2 years in the playoffs. They won a playoff game 1 year. The second year, they lose on wild card weekend in that crazy back-and-forth game with the Commanders. And now, to your point, they are looking like one of the best teams in the NFC. That's the other part of this I don't think gets talked about enough. You were replacing the greatest quarterback of all time, and the transition has been pretty seamless from Brady to Baker.
Yeah, and not even to make a comparison, but you can make a comparison for what they do for the team. Like, I talked to several guys back when Tom Brady was there, and they always felt that they had a chance to win. Every Sunday, they felt they had a chance to win with Tom Brady. And that's when I see the similarities with Baker Mayfield. When Baker steps on the field, you have the confidence. Yep, he can put you in a situation where you can win every week. Not saying you will, but you feel extremely confident when you got him throwing the football.
All righty, tell me what we got cooking now. What's the latest with Lights Out Extreme Fighting?
Yeah, we got a huge event this Saturday in Long Beach, California. You guys out there, check us out. Lights Out Extreme Fighting 28. You can download Lights Out Sports TV. We'll be live on Lights Out Sports TV, and I think we're replays UFC Fight Pass and Fubo, BN Sports. We got a ton of partners we work with, but we got two guys in this card, man, who I think they got a real shot at taking off going to the UFC. Hopefully, we can retain them for a couple fights. But this main event, Renato Valente and Grant Neal, is going to be a big one. Cole Lauren is another one that's up and coming. Drake Flores is on this card as well. I mean, we got some dogs that I think is going to be rising stars in this sport. So check us out this Saturday, Long Beach, California, and download Lights Out Sports TV to watch it live.
And then just one more thing that popped into my head, just looking back at your career. Who were like 2 or 3 linemen that when you were going up against them, you were like, man, this is going to really be a challenge? Like, who were the linemen you had the most respect for and you knew it was going to be a dogfight?
I faced them all, man, from Walter Jones, and I faced Orlando Pace when he first came in, Willie Roaf. I can tell you a guy who was just mean as hell, Richie Incognito.
Oh, yeah.
I love Richie, man. Love his attitude. Wish I got a chance to play with him. But it was a little bit different feel, man, just, because they ran the ball a lot. It was a lot more downhill running. But some of these guys now, I was, before the season started, I was with Joe Alt, and I'm almost 6'5", and I'm looking up at him, like a 10-year-old kid. So these guys they're a different animal nowadays.
Yeah, and obviously right now the best pass rusher in the sport is Myles Garrett. He just had 5 sacks in a game, but they lost by double digits because the Browns stink. Now, Myles had that trade request, said it wasn't all about the money, then took the massive deal to stay in Cleveland. Like, when you think he goes to sleep at night, obviously he lives a great life. He's got all that money coming in, but do you think part of him says, man, I really should have just got paid elsewhere and go have a chance to go win somewhere?
Look, I think, Myles Garrett's going to go down in history when this thing is done. I mean, he's on just another playing field with anybody that's playing in the National Football League right now. The problem is that I don't think he's going to get his quite due just because of where he's playing. You know, you put Myles Garrett on a team that can score 24 to 30 points a game. You know, he can have 5 sacks a week. I mean, this guy is next level. But, you know, you take the money. And once you take the money, you understand what the organization is going to do. They haven't changed and got better over the years you've been there. So, you know, you're getting paid to stay. So it's unfortunate. But man, you wish to see a guy like that potentially get a ring before he's done because he deserves it.
He's Shawne Merriman. Shawne, good luck with the car. We appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
You got it, bud. Thanks for having me.
There you go. Shawne Merriman joining us right there on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll take a time out. We'll come on back. We'll update some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We will get to a news brief next. But first, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. Download the DraftKings Sports app and use code GELB. That's code GELB, G-E-L-B. Bet $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass, plus get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Pass or per wager tax may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Must be present in state where it is lawful to wager. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets that are non-cash credits that expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass is subject to blackouts and other restrictions and auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Valid until November 16th, 2025.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All righty, we played this for you about 30 minutes ago. We'll play it for you again, and we got some clarity now on this. Let's hear. We got a few cuts here, but let's hear from the Louisiana Governor, Jeff Landry, while talking about Brian Kelly's buyout, the future of Scott Woodward as the AD of LSU. A lot to unpack. Let's get to cut one.
No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach. Hold on. One real quick thing on that. Because here's what y'all reporters need to do. Y'all need to start looking at who represents all these people. Like these agents. You know what's interesting? If I'm not mistaken, Woodward's agent, Kelly's agent, the Texas A&M, they're all the same agent. Like, you realize if I would be, I don't know how many sports writers we got here today? Just you. We should have a bunch, okay? Like, this is ridiculous. Lawyers would be disbarred for the way these agents act and the way they're able to represent. In fact, there's no doubt, they may even represent some of the players now. Like, it's really time for the NCAA to put on some guardrails in college sports. Because, and it's fine. We don't need the guardrails. If big billionaires want to spend all that kind of money, no problem. But if I got to go find $53 million from Kevin, it's not going to be a pleasant conversation. I'm just telling you.
So, Ross Dellinger, who covers college football for Yahoo Sports, does a good job providing some clarity around the governor's comments here. Brian Kelly and Jimbo Fisher are not represented by the same person. Kelly is represented by Trace Armstrong. Fisher is represented by Jimmy Sexton. Oh, you gotta look at it. You gotta investigate it. Let's hear one more from the Louisiana governor.
We are not going down a failed path. And I wanted to tell you something. This is a pattern. The guy that's here now that wrote that contract cost Texas A&M $70-something million. Right now, we got a $53 million liability. We are not doing that again. And you know what? I believe that we're going to find a great coach. I mean, maybe we'll let President Trump pick it. He loves winners. You know? I'm not going to be picking the next coach. But I can promise you, we're going to pick a coach, and we're going to make sure that that coach is successful. And we're going to make sure that he's compensated properly. And we're going to put metrics on it. Because I'm tired of rewarding failure in this country and then leaving the taxpayers on the foot, to foot the bill. So, yeah, absolutely.
Maybe I'm wrong. Are the taxpayers even paying for the buyout? How many times are like, oh, the boosters got to just get the money? You know, I don't want to overreact to this because if Lane Kiffin wants the LSU job, do you think he's going to really give a rat's ass about this Jeff Landry press conference? No. But I do wonder if it gives some of the other schools leverage. And I think LSU is the creme de la creme job of the market. But there's a lot of inaccuracies there that Jeff Landry was saying. And anytime, this is my rule of thumb, and this rule never usually does wrong by me. Politicians talking about sports usually does not end well. They either sound tone deaf, they get things wrong, they get names wrong. Like that guy Menino up in Boston years ago, I know he's no longer alive. Like, these guys get things wrong all the time. But man, you didn't get the agent part right. Let's get to Mike Florio. Could the Eagles trade A.J. Brown? This on Pro Football Talk.
There was a report over the weekend that the Eagles are not expected to trade receiver A.J. Brown. That was the headline. When you look a little deeper, it sure looks like the Eagles are willing, if not eager, to get phone calls about A.J. Brown. And that was going into Sunday's game. Think about the teams in the AFC, the high-level contenders that could have interest. And I've heard of several teams that are interested. This, to me, feels like an effort by the Eagles to shop A.J. Brown without shopping A.J. Brown, to wait for the phone to ring, to not be the one that picks up the phone, to see if someone makes you an offer that you can't refuse, to move on from A.J. Brown. Because something's been going on there. He's a source of issues, whether he's right or wrong, frustrations that he's admitted to. Could the Eagles engage in a little addition by subtraction by moving on from A.J. Brown and picking up some significant draft pick compensation by getting multiple AFC teams clamoring to try to get him starting with New England Patriots, coached by the man who was his head coach in Tennessee?
It does feel inevitable at some point that A.J. Brown's going to be on the Patriots. Now, the Patriots, windy fingers, they just got rid of Kyle Duggar. They just got rid of Keon White. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Could mean nothing. Could also mean they're trading for A.J. Brown. I still think A.J. Brown gets traded. Not by the deadline, though. I think he gets traded in the offseason. James Harrison, the Steelers legend, he was on the, obviously his show, Debo and Joe podcast, and he rips the Steelers defense for their poor play this season.
We are freaking cooked. Like, we're cooked, bro. We're the 30th ranked defense in the NFL. We're the highest paid defense in the NFL. Those two things don't go together.
This is why I'm with you with the
prime
defense,
time,
Debo.
Sunday night. What the are we doing? Things got to get changed. People got to go. Highest paid, 30th ranked. Don't match. I don't know what needs to happen, but we need to go ahead and maybe redo this whole thing and get something else going.
Thank you. That's a former Steeler speaking the truth. James Harrison, well done. Let's hear from Mike Tomlin. He says he still believes in Terrell Austin, the defensive coordinator.
I've known Terrell a long time. He's very capable. He's very thorough. I largely been pleased with his work, but certainly he and I are not pleased with where we are right now from a defensive unit perspective, and so we're just going to keep working.
Okay, I don't think James Harrison is going to like that. I'll tell you that. Let's go to Jerry Jones. Were you close to a Max Crosby or Trey Hendrickson trade? This is Shawne and RJ on 105.3 The Fan in Dallas.
No, because it's all of that. And nobody said there was a deal. There hadn't been anything close to a deal. But we're looking at all phases of our roster. Most teams are right now. We happen to have what would appear for us a bigger need than we've had. But each time you look at a player, a position, a trade for, or for that matter, one of your players that you're trading for another player, you just got to look. Don't look too far out of the boundaries of what you're getting and trading within the position. Within the position, not relative to your record, or frankly, it's a mistake to do it relative to how they played the week before. It needs to be their entire evaluation of a player that you've had, certainly during and the time you started at training camp. So all of that goes into whether or not you'll be making a trade or not. And I don't know if we will or not.
I wonder how many beers you could chug while Jerry Jones is giving an answer. We should maybe try that one day. Those are long answers. So Brian Thomas Jr. had an exceptional rookie season last year. 87 receptions, 1,282 yards, and 10 touchdowns. This year through 7 games, he only has 27 receptions, 365 yards, and a touchdown. Liam Cohen makes it clear, though, that they're not trading the second-year wide receiver.
I am very optimistic. We have no plans on moving Brian Thomas Jr. At all. Saw something about that over the weekend. I talked to him for a good amount of time this morning, and it's just a good reset for a lot of these guys to come in fresh, 4-3 with everything ahead of us. Regardless, good, bad, or indifferent, what's happened in the first 7 games, we all have an opportunity to write a narrative. We own the narrative, and so I got a lot of confidence in him. I really do believe that we can turn the corner and get better in the pass game that way.
And let's get to Paul Feinbaum. Would Nick Saban listen to LSU if they came calling, or maybe it'd be Donald Trump, President Trump come calling if you listen to Louisiana governor? This is on the Rich Eisen Show.
Nick Saban was the coach at LSU. He won the national championship there in 2003. And Saban left in 2005 to go to the Dolphins. Wayne Huizinga offered him this deal. And in many ways, he always regretted it. While Alabama was where he made his mark, there was this gravitational pull about Baton Rouge. His family loved it. And it probably is the only place that could get a conversation with Nick Saban. So what would it take to get Nick Saban to leave the game day set, sitting next to McAfee every Saturday, to go to LSU? It would take more than he made at Alabama, which was about $10 or $11 million. But if they came up with a package, Rich, I think you could literally fill in the number. Do I think Saban would think about it for a minute? Yes, I do. I think Nick Saban, for an unbelievable amount of money, where he said, I just can't turn that down, could possibly at least engage in a conversation.
I don't think Nick Saban's the next coach, Ellis. I don't. Maybe if Trump calls him, potentially. But I don't think that's going to happen. He left Alabama because he didn't want to deal with NIL and transfer anymore. Why would he want to jump back into this? I just don't see it. Let's go to Pete Thamel. Will Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss? This is on College Football Live.
Right now, it's hard to imagine Lane Kiffin coaching at Ole Miss next year. The opportunity that looms at either LSU or Florida is too big. The variable here, Zubin, that's going to be fascinating and is going to loom over the last 2 months of this season is how the dynamics would work if Ole Miss indeed does make the playoff, which they are on target to do right now if they keep winning as they have. Regular season ends November 29th. They could play in the SEC champ game a week later. And the college football playoff does not start until December 19th. It would either be a high-wire act where whatever job wants Lane and has some kind of agreement with Lane, maybe verbally, keeps the job open and waits for it to happen when it would be obvious it plays out that way, or they announce it beforehand, which would be awkward too. So it's going to be a fascinating race here for Lane Kiffin and to see how he handles it with a playoff team.
Yeah, that's going to be the issue if they make the playoff, which I think they're going to. That's going to be a bleep show. But that's the structure right now in college football. The NCAA, I was reading this in the Associated Press, they're delaying a rule change that will allow athletes and athletic department staff members to bet on professional sports. The Division I board voted Tuesday to push back the effective date of the sports betting legislative change, moving it from November 1st to November 22nd. Here is Pittsburgh football coach Pat Narduzzi on allowing kids to gamble.
They don't ask the coaches. I think it's absolutely one of the stupidest decisions I've ever seen. First of all, it's a habit. It's no different than smoking, drinking, doing drugs. It's a bad habit, and I don't think anybody in here would encourage you guys to go out drinking and getting smashed on a Friday night or Saturday night, or at a ball game in at Acrisure Stadium, and it's a disease. I mean, you saw the same day that comes out, there's a disease in the NBA with what's going on there. It doesn't matter how much money you make as a coach, you're still gambling like that. It's not to make money. It's because your addiction to it, I guess. I mean, that's the only thing I can, and I'm not speaking for anybody, but I just think it's an addiction. And I think, if you want to go to the casino down the road and hang out there and throw your money away, I think you're going to continue to win. I mean, gambling's gambling. I'm not a gambler. I just don't understand it.
And let's hear one more from Pat Narduzzi. He says the NCAA is lazy.
It's a bad deal, and it all comes down to they probably don't want to have to take care of all the business that goes with trying to monitor it. But, push the wrong button on your phone, see what happens. Go, oh, I thought that I did it, but I thought it was an NFL game. I pushed the wrong button and just, put a bet on a college football game. I just think it's not good, and I'm not going to change my tune.
No, Doozy at least shoots everybody straight, I'll tell you that. He is unapologetic with his opinion. Whether you agree with it or not, that's a different thing. NBA on NBC with Peacock, Michael Jordan, obviously the GOAT. He goes off on load management in the association.
It shouldn't be needed, first and foremost. I never wanted to miss a game because it was an opportunity to prove. It was something that I felt like, the fans are there to watch me play. I want to impress that guy way up on top who probably worked his ass off to get a ticket or to get money to buy the ticket. The guys are coming to watch me play. I don't want to miss that opportunity. Now, physically, if I can't do it, then I can't do it. But physically, if I can do it and I just don't feel like doing it, that's a whole different lens. I always felt the necessary need that I could never leave my comrades out if I could perform, right? Even if I couldn't. Utah, for a great example. Everybody said the flu game. It's a game 5, which is a very pivotal game. I was going to find a way to get out there, even if I was a decoy. Well, once I got out there, you never know how, pushing yourself, you never know what happens, right? Next thing you know, the emotions, the situation, the need of the team, all those things catapulted me to, I'm going to gut this thing out.
Here's my problem with that. You can't compare the flu game to like a player sitting out in game 22 of the regular season. I don't love load management, but him going right to the flu game, it's not a good comparison right there, I'll just say. Last one, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. on how the Blue Jays were able to bounce back after losing in 18 innings on game 3, and they found a way to win game 4 last night, and big thanks to his home run, this courtesy of Fox.
Yesterday was a tough lose, but we flushed it right away, and to us, it's one game at a time, one pitch at a time, and thank God we coming with a W today. It's a 27 now, 27 now, we grinder, we always positive. The first thing I say yesterday is I flush it, try to rest, and tomorrow we're trying to come to the first inning and trying to win the game, and I learned that from a lot of you guys. And when you got that and you mind, it's not over yet. Something like today happens.
All righty, we will have Game 5 tonight. We'll see who will take it as it goes back to Toronto for a Game 6. That series right now tied up at 2 games apiece. We'll come on back. Little Take 5 Wednesday. Give you my top 5 teams in the NFL and college football. Update time first. Here's Zach.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with their easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. From the start, it was clear the Blue Jays would put up a good fight, and they've done much more. The World Series is even at 2 games apiece heading into tonight's pivotal Game 5. Toronto has been a terrific story thus far, and at the center of it is the starter this evening, Trey Savage, the 22-year-old rookie making just his 9th Major League start, and it comes as he tries to give them another boost and the lead in the Fall Classic. The former first-round pick is unfazed, having already been exposed to big pressure spots.
I've pitched with our back against the wall already, so I've experienced it, and I'm ready to pitch with our back against the wall, or I'm ready to pitch to send this thing to Toronto.
Blake Snell will start for the Dodgers. Aiden Hutchinson gets the big payday he so deserves. The 25-year-old signed a 4-year extension with the Lions, $180 million in all, 141 of which is guaranteed. Commanders receiver Terry McLaurin out again after re-injuring his quad, and J.J. McCarthy will go today at Vikings practice. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Rock your body. Hey, this is Howie.
And this is Nick
from the Backstreet Boys, and you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show, coast to coast of the Infinity Sports Network. Wrap it up shop on a Wednesday. It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Joe in Detroit says, with Aiden Hutchinson, Zach, being locked up on a new contract, does your gut tell you that the Lions will win a Super Bowl in the next 3 seasons? You can submit a question by tweeting at INFSportsNet or at Zach Gelb. Use the hashtag #AskThePros. Stick around the Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, I actually think they're going to win the Super Bowl this season. Lions will be my pick this season. I think it's going to be Lions and Chiefs, and the Lions are going to win a high-scoring affair in the Super Bowl. That would be my gut take right now. All right, let's get to a little Take 5 Wednesday.
As the dust settles from last week's games, it's time to look at which teams are rising and which are falling.
And there's an interception.
Zach ranks his top 5 NFL and college football teams on this week's edition of Take 5, only on the Zach Gelb Show.
Alrighty, let's start it off in college football. I'm going to start it off with the Dogs of Georgia. I look at this Georgia team who this upcoming weekend, obviously they had the game up against Florida. They were off this past week, but the week before that, they found a way to turn garbage into gold. Didn't play well in the first 3 quarters, and the fourth quarter came alive, and they beat up Ole Miss pretty good. Georgia's only loss this year is to Alabama. So I have the 6-1 Dogs in at number 5. In at number 4, this team is undefeated. They do play in the SEC. I think they're actually going to be undefeated at the end of the season. They got Missouri, they got South Carolina, Samford, and Texas remaining. They just smothered LSU, and they did send Brian Kelly packing from the Tiger family. I like the 2 wide receivers that they do have that transferred in. Marcel Reed's a heck of a quarterback, and Mike Elko is a really good coach, so I'm putting A&M in there. I know it got ugly a little bit for Alabama, but they found a way to win. How about the stretch for Alabama ever since losing to Florida State? Forget about Louisiana, Monroe, Wisconsin. But since then, they beat Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee, and South Carolina. Ty Simpson's a heck of a quarterback. I like that Alabama defense. Kalen DeBoer really starting to feel himself in Alabama. I will take the Crimson Tide at number 3. And at number 2, I'll tell you this. I didn't think I was going to move them back. And if they played Indiana and I'm assuming that's going to be the Big Ten championship game. I can't wait to see what's going to happen. But I'm going to put Ohio State in at 2 and Indiana in at 1. Ohio State's best victory on the season is Texas. That hasn't really aged well, but I do usually consider it when you played them, and that was a heck of a win. You look at Indiana, their best win of the season was Oregon, and they beat them by 10. You also had Indiana beat Illinois 63-10. Ohio State played Illinois. They only won 34-16. So I'm going to go ahead and move up I'm going to move back Ohio State to 2, and I'm going to move up Indiana to 1 after Indiana beat UCLA by a score of 56-6. You look at the margins this year for Indiana. 27-14 against Old Dominion, who cares? Kennesaw State 56-9. Indiana State 73-0. Once again, who cares? Illinois 63-10. All right, Iowa only 20-15. They go to Oregon, they win by 10. They beat Michigan State 38-13. UCLA 56-6. I'm going with the Hoosiers right now, slightly above the Ohio State Buckeyes. So, in at number 5, Georgia. In at number 4, A&M. In at number 3, Bama. In at number 2, Ohio State. And in at number 1, Indiana. Stewie, speak now, forever hold your peace.
All right, what about Oregon? Their only loss, of course, to Indiana on the season.
Well, that's the thing. They lost to Indiana, and that's why I moved them out of the top 5. I don't think the Big Ten is as strong as it's been in previous years. Oregon will have other opportunities to make up for it. Probably not until the college football playoff. We'll see if they make the Big Ten championship game. Probably unlikely at this rate. But Iowa, Minnesota, USC, Washington, the toughest game is USC. I don't expect them to drop one the rest of the way. But they'll have a chance to make up for it in the college football playoff. And they're like the 6th or 7th best team in the country right now, I would say, in my estimation. But I just think if they play Georgia tomorrow, I would trust Georgia a little bit more than Oregon. And obviously, we will monitor the health of one Dante Moore.
All right, what about Ole Miss with wins over Oklahoma and LSU?
Yeah, so I think the world of Ole Miss, the way that they lost to Georgia, it is rather unfortunate. So I only have 5 spots. A&M's undefeated. Alabama is better than Ole Miss. And Georgia just beat Ole Miss, so that's why I keep them out.
What about Haynes King and Georgia Tech, A&O?
Yeah, I like Haynes King a lot, and I think that they are going to run the table and go undefeated. I just don't think an ACC team can win a national championship, so therefore I have them out.
All right, last one. What about Vanderbilt? Their lone loss, of course, to Alabama.
Yeah, I want to see them be a little bit cleaner. I didn't love them on the offensive side of the ball last week. If I'm just being totally transparent, up against Missouri, I didn't think they played the best offensive game. They should be a college football playoff team. They have Texas this weekend at Texas, and surprisingly, they're a 2.5-point dog in that one. All righty. Let me get to the NFL. Well, the NFL's been tricky. Tricky. In at number 5, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers after their win up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know the Steelers aren't fantastic, but I like the dominance I saw in the second half. Eagles back in the win column against the Giants, and you look at them, they avenged that loss from earlier in the season. Not that I think that Philadelphia all of a sudden is this great unbeatable team when they just beat the Vikings and also the Giants, but they got so much talent there. In at number 3, I'm going the Detroit Lions, like what I saw 2 weeks ago up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In at 2, the Chiefs. They didn't play well in the first half. They still dismantled the Commanders with all of us to see on Monday Night Football, and they still have Mahomes. And at number 1, it's the 7-1 Indiana Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, heck of an offensive line, Shane Steichen-led Indianapolis Colts. So 5 Packers, 4 Eagles, 3 Lions, 2 Chiefs, Colts in at 1.
All right. What about the Bills, who are 5-2? They broke their 2-game losing streak this week.
Yeah, they smothered the Panthers. But they just lost to the Patriots and the Falcons. Patriots are solid. Falcons are up and down. This is a big one this week. You beat Kansas City again in the regular season. I mean, you're going to go beat them in the playoffs because you beat them in the regular season, but then maybe you get in the top 5 once again next week.
What about your Pats? 5 wins in a row.
I like to see them start off a little bit better. The Buffalo game was huge. I'm curious when the competition picks up a little bit how they're going to look. They're on the right path. They're going to be a playoff team, I think. I just don't think that they're amongst the top 5 team in the NFL right now.
What about Baker and the Bucks?
That was the tough one. That was the real tough one. The Detroit lost, the Eagles lost, not the end of the world. So that probably keeps them in the top 5, and it's the injuries, too. The injuries are really starting to pile up for Tampa Bay.
All right, last one. What about the Rams, who are 5-2 on the year?
Yeah, so the Rams lose that game to the Eagles. They choke it away, all right. You're entitled to 1. Then you lose to a banged-up Niners team. You beat the Ravens and Jaguars after that. I got to see more from the Rams, who I really like, before I'm going to put them back in my top 5. All righty. Fun show today. Big thanks, Connor. Big thanks to Stu. Big thanks to each and every one of you. And also a big thank you to Jerry Harrison Jr., Pat Boyle, and Shawne Merriman. We'll be back tomorrow on a Thursday, right at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Enjoy the World Series tonight. We'll chat about it tomorrow. Get you set for a Thursday night football game as well. Mañana. All righty, we out. Bye-bye. Peace.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.